Good morning. How are we all doing on this fine Monday midday? Actually, I guess it's technically about to be. Hopefully you're all having a good time. Hopefully you had a good weekend. I didn't quite catch the free-for-all games, but apparently there was quite a lot of hype around that. Apparently Beastie's been dominating the field. No surprise. I mean, dude, the guy seems very cozy in the free-for-all settings, right? Like, just seems to be a second home to him. But maybe somewhere where he wouldn't be able to annihilate is the team environment, because I gotta say, all the Westerners have just looked like victims to the ways of the Asians. So plans today, we are going to be checking out some of the series from Clearman's $1,000 Fields of Blood tournament. I'm going to start off with a series a little bit early in the bracket because it was a banger and I can't believe we didn't cover it. It's actually the top Vietnamese stack versus, or one top Vietnamese stack versus the 3D Clan stack. And then after that, we're going to get into the one that happened on Saturday, which was the Bohemian Bros up against Lui Tao B. So really cool series, actually. Looking forward to showing both of them off. And then, you know, seeing how much time we've got left, we'll look to hop into some other things. I think there's some Crackety games that I want to check in on. There might be some Louis MT games as well that I want to take a little ganders at. And maybe even Core provide some things along the way. Another thing that is pretty cool at the moment. Let me see if I can get it up. I saw something really cool, guys. And I already promised, I was like, if there's a mod, we'll do some community games on this. Check this. The Super Weapon mod, Medieval Nuke, good for AI games. No. We're going to make it good for free-for-alls. Okay, we'll probably not be able to run Regicide with this, just saying. But this adds the Siege Camp from the Sons of Ascent campaign. If you guys haven't played the Sons of Ascent campaign, genuinely, you've missed out. Let me resize the window, because I remember I had to zoom in before for whatever reason. So this is an absolute legend of a mod. Check this. So you can target it, just like you would a nuke in Red Alert 2. Woo, in it comes, and boom shakalaka. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm hoping that this is combinable with the Meat Grinder mod, because I think that would be epic. We kick off with like having some like nuke games later in the week, and then we follow up with nuke games plus Meat Grinder mod, if feasible. Dude, look at this thing. This is why we can't have Regicide with this on. But yeah, it's a really cool idea. I will definitely be looking to test that out in some community games in the future. I mean, this is the type of stuff I was talking about, right? Things that drastically can change the fundamentals of the game in some way, shake it to its core and flip it over like it's a pancake. Those are the quirky type of game modes I'm looking for at all times. But bear with me, guys, because I just remembered what I need to do. I'm just double checking, because I'm pretty sure, because we were casting some solo matches, it means that the UI isn't going to be enabled. So before I switch over and absolutely ambush you with spoilers, I want to rectify that. So 1 second, guys. We quickly do that. And then we'll turn that trim off. We'll turn the team trim and the other trim on. And then, yeah, I think that's everything we need to kick this off. Yeah, so lower bracket series, 3D Clan versus, or I should say 3D Clan plus Anatan, because he's not even part of them anymore. Plus Anatan versus the Vietnamese boys. So actually, I'm just double checking, because this is the Hung ADC squad. Some of them changed their names. I want to make sure that what we've got here is the full Vietnamese squad instead of just being a partial one. Hanoi. So Hanoi, yeah, it's a full Vietnamese squad. And ironically enough, they also have a player called B. Oh my god, please give this to me. I actually need this. The levels of confusion, man. It's like all I live for. I'm a like string theory chaos type dude, you know. Right. So 1 second, I just noticed it decided to, after I turned it off, popped itself back on. Let's do that. All right, Fandappy Dozy. Oh man. Let's make sure everything's aligned as well. Uh-oh. Do we have... We do. There we go. Flip that UI around. Talk about, hey, it's the man, it's the legend himself. He's getting middle fingered by me. It's, of course, Baltoon. How's it going, buddy? Wait, why is that hidden the text? It shouldn't have hidden the text. 1 second, my friend. Let me fix that. Hope you're having a good day, though. Where the hell? Yeah, that is a little bit weird. Let me check alerts quickly for you guys. Don't want you getting robbed of your name on the screen when you don't know. Wait, that's a different... Okay, I'm going to have to figure that out later. I don't know why it done that, because that's not even the correct one to show up, apparently. According to, like, what I've got set up. That's a big Keck W. I don't... I don't know why it just done that. Is that Streamlabs? Because Streamlabs should have everything disabled. Everything's meant to be disabled except for donations via Streamlabs. I went over why before. I'm pretty sure. Let me check. What? Yeah, no. Wait, how did it play that one? I can't remember what I set that on, but I set that on something. I can't even remember. Okay. Well, color me confused. I'll figure that one out a little bit later. That's a bit funky. Oh, wait, no, you can choose, right? Yeah, that's right. You can choose. That's fine, yeah. But for some reason, the image is so big that it just blocks out. I'm going to need to figure out a way of adapting that. Maybe I'll have to make the pop-up a bit smaller. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I never noticed that before. It's weird because on the thing, it lets you set the size, but it only previews one of them. So, like, you kind of get screwed over in the process. Because you can't see the sizings for all of them. That's weird. I'll put it down to... I reckon like 70% will probably work. So 70% scaling and it should pop up correctly next time. I hope. Yeah, Twitch didn't do a great job with their inbuilt alerts. Not gonna lie, folks. All right, there we go. But thank you, Baltoon. Appreciate you, buddy. Right, let me get ready to get into the cast. Actually, that aligned quite nicely because we're just a few minutes in. So we don't have the B guy playing. I'm a little bit disappointed. I hope that gets fixed in game number 2. Oh, and I almost forgot. Sorry, one final thing, and then we can like look around and see what is happening, get the lay of the land here. We must put the wonderful Fields of Blood logo on. Wouldn't want to do them dirty like that. Boom. There we go. Absolute beauty. Okay. One and all, welcome back to the Age of Empires for Action. We are here for more Fields of Blood. That's right, the $1,000 tournament, lower bracket series between 3D Clan and Hanoi. Some of the top Vietnamese players, actually, in fact, on this squad. Opajoy, we know him from the Freefall tournament. Hung ADC needs no introduction. And guys, I hope it comes out in this series. The biggest reason I wanted to cast this more than anything else is that on this side, in the orange, we have 3D Clan's B. What we might get in game number 2 of this series is Hanoi's B as well. There's double B. So you've got Eastern B and Western B. And it is going to be the East versus West divide. So 3D Clan on the West side. Kind of weird to call them 3D Clan when they actually have Anatan on their team, who, of course, has been signed by My Insanity. I don't know. It's kind of a weird one to me. I don't know if it's just because My Insanity doesn't have enough players, but it's kind of sad that we're in this situation where we don't just have teams that exist in AoE4 that actually have teams, right? Like, for example... upcoming 2v2 tournament from EGC. Could we not just sign Elyon to Gentlemates and have Elyon plus Marine Lord? Now, some people are like, wow, that would be technically a weaker squad, Pigeon. I mean, you can't deny the power of Beastie and Marine Lord. Sure, I get you. But it's like, it kind of makes teams feel weird in RTSs. I think this has always been something about solo sports when it comes to having esports teams. At least solo sports where there is team sports within it, right? So RTS is the pristine example of that. It's like we see it everywhere, right? Like I can think of different environments where it's also been an issue across StarCraft, across other Age ofs. Obviously, Age of Empires 2, I think, has gotten pretty good at it with the Gamer Legion, but that's because they basically signed all the top players. So, yeah, kind of an intriguing thought there, right? It is nice to have more teams coming in, though. I don't know if you guys heard, Age of Mythologies just had a new org enter to pick up Mister and his squadron. Don't know what happened to Recon in that midst, though. There was rumors about Fox getting involved, and hopefully that will still come to fruition. There's a lot of talented players, honestly, in Age of Empires 4 that could just be picked up for a dime instead of $1. So, hope we're going to see that in 2025. I think it's nice as well because a lot of these players don't really know how to market themselves. They don't really know how to monetize themselves. So having a team that's actually good at doing that with people with unique sets of skills that are good at finding those type of deals, sourcing those deals, and just letting them create the content is a perfect way to approach it for a lot of players. It's why most players, even if they have a good following of streams, would rather sign with a team than just find deals themselves, because it is a special set of skills. Anyway, guys, we haven't really talked much about the civs in this one. We have got Mongols and French on both sides, and then we have some diversification. Japanese and Chinese for the Free Clan. And it's English and Ibids on the east side. Now, I really like the Ibids, actually, in these formats. When you're up against potentially triple Cav Civ, maybe even quadruple if B decides to dip in as well, the Desert Raiders are kings, right? We have Baltin in chat, and I'm sure he'll agree on this. He absolutely loves his Desert Raiders. He lives and dies by them. They are an insanely powerful unit. And in the team format, you're able to get away with these one-dimensional comps in a way you simply couldn't in 1v1s, and that's really important when you consider how expensive Desert Raiders can be. If you're not able to consistently scale them, they tend to kind of fall off. Interesting for Anatan. He actually did go into Horsemen to try and buffer against this. 7 Horsemen already in the field. Meanwhile, Opa Joy, the Mongol on the other side, is going into Magadai. Yeah, I really like these Magadai openings, especially on a map like Hillendale, where there's just so many passes to close off. You're just not going to do it fast enough. And even more so, when there's a Mongol player involved, that's one less player who's going to participate in the walling. Desert Raiders instead, though. I'll get some nice chip damage in on the Knight. We'll turn into melee mode and easily able to wail on Anatan's Horseman. Yeah, a little bit tricky right now. It feels like Anatan is being forced to address all threats on his own. Right, we've got blue, purple, and green all piling in on the Belarusian. And for good reason. I mean, look at the greed coming out, right? You've got Floating Gate and Imperial Palace. This is a double castle rush from the CIS squad. That comes at a price, though, folks. That comes at a burden. The only upside I do see right now is I don't think the Ibid player is rushing age up, right? So there isn't this race for relics that you have to panic about. I think that's a big deal as well, right? Like, you know, when you think about it, you are going to see some relics coming in for the Japanese, but unless China wants to rush into a temple, you won't have that accelerated pace you'd see out of, say, the Ibids or Bruce rushing castle. So we have got trade games. So, oh god, it's going to be one of these games. Do I need to have another rant about corner trade? I think if I could change one thing about this tournament, the feedback I'd give to Clearman is just don't let players trade with teammates. I don't know, like, am I wrong in that? Do people like what it brings? Safety of economy? I mean, I guess it just turns into a me big smash game, right? Because I feel like the moment you start seeing this trade get set up, it feels inevitable the game is going to drag quite deep, and you're just going to have people sending 200 pop armies into each other. I guess that's cool, right? It's theatrical. But it doesn't really feel earned. You know, I think it kind of doesn't do justice by these big fights when you're able to just throw away an entire army and then immediately replace it, right? It does a disservice to the grandness of Age of Empires 4. Because at the end of the day, that loss just doesn't really matter. Maybe no team trade before 20 minutes? No, I just think no team trade. I'm pretty sure major team tournaments that have happened before had this rule, no? I'm trying to remember, but I think AoE 4 has had this in previous tournaments. Maybe EGC's 2v2 had that. I'm not sure if Lidicor's 3v3 had it or not. It's just too good. Like, sure, you know, you can make the argument that if you go for the neutral trade post, you get 20% more. Grand, but you don't really need it. I mean, look what he's getting here. 161 gold. What? Like, what is that number? For the safest resource gain on the map. I mean, of course, it isn't perfectly safe yet. And I think this is another reason why you're seeing a cavalry heavy meta, right? It's like you just have to play into cav to have the chance to block this out. I like the comp coming out from the 3D clan, though, right? We've got Double Knight plus the Onimusha. On the other side, it is Mass Magadai still. I'm wondering if Anatan is going to switch it up, right? He's gone very greedy setting up his trade. He's going to need to start paying back in the proverbial pool of resources for the team soon. Otherwise, he might be a few teammates down. Pressure already coming on the south side, so it looks like they're trying to seclude Deniskia on an island on his own. Deniskia, who does have a lot of knights, but not many of them are home. And on top of that, even if they were against this many Desert Raiders, they would not be favored in that engagement. Nagadai able to dive in. Movement speed arrow is going to be activated. Nice reaction. We'll minimize the losses. Just 2 villages there. No pressure coming on the other side, though. Like, this is usually not a good sign when you watch these type of games. When one team is just buffering away attack after attack, it tends to snowball because you can be one of the best players in the world, but when you're being wailed on by sequentially 4 different players, you're going to slip up. And that's the power of the cavalry meta, by the way. It is only 3 players playing cav, sure, but 3 is more than enough to just seclude these players. Yeah, kind of interesting that we've got another one of these English players that just booms up. I mean, it's not too bad because of the fact that the 3D clan went double castle. Had this been 1 castle with 3 pressuring in the H2, I actually think it'd be a lot more problematic here for the English. But I think they knew that they could get away with this because you have to keep in mind, like, when you draft Japanese and Chinese, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen there, right? China's not necessarily going to play long feudal. Japan could, but, you know, like, you could be a human toilet. It doesn't mean you're going to be a human, right? Like, there are things that you can do in life. It doesn't mean you should do them. And Japanese long feudal is one of them, especially in a team game. Cool time packing. It's like the Magdai are keeping the pressure up. Onimusha just struggling to fight right now. The funny thing is, like, the Onimusha should be capable of like, striking back to a decent degree, but the problem is the attack speed, right? Like, once you gap close the Magadai, once you stick in range, you'll always beat the Onimusha. That's why I love that they deployed the Kurotai over here to be the difference maker. We'll even give him nice damage up against Desert Razor, but no ranged armor to work with here. He needs to be a little bit careful on the retreat, though, because if he gets caught, you are going to lose these ladies fast. They're flimsy at best. 80 health against a unit that can do a pretty grand 26 damage per strike. So we have got more horsemen coming through. Anatan now vetting them up. This is the big threat factor he needed. Desert Raiders can no longer fight. The Magadai are also going to struggle. So well played by Anatan. After what looked like an awkward start where he threw away all of his military, he double dips into greed. He gets up into castle, and now he has the counter to a vast majority of what the Vietnamese squad are cooking with. Walls are also attempted to go up, but not fully complete here for B. A little bit tricky to get all the way out, but he is on his way there. I'm wondering, B, yeah, he did go for it in the end. He went for the monastery drop into the supervision, so he's pumping out these monks non-stop. Should have a few relics on the way home right now. It's actually a race between him and Tuan. I think he's doing a good job of kind of patrolling the center of the map, but it's a slow-moving army and a lot of ground to cover here. On top of that, we do actually have more beneficial trade. Opajoi is trying to go the full distance here, full ham, into this corner. The problem is he needs to switch across. I think he's still trading home here, as he's only getting, what, 73 gold each way. Yeah, oh wow, yeah, he definitely misclicked that. That's a really big mistake. Green has set up the trade post in the corner. You want to be trading all the way across. It's the only justifiable reason why you go for the trade post in the corner, right? Actually, the drastic difference here between both Bongo players kind of has me a little bit worried. Opajoi does have 32 Magadai, but his tech up is kind of slow. His economy is much weaker. His trade is much worse. And on top of that, I'm seeing a lot of horsemen getting pumped by Anatan. Now, plus side, they do actually have this going for them. The king is actually a huge deal here, folks. Just the ability to heal up your allies really pays off. As you'll see, the kiss of the boo-boos. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. With mobile cavalry, and you have to keep in mind, Magadai have low HP anyway, so that +2 health actually adds up quickly. It's not like when you try to heal knights, where it's like, God, I have to wait a long time between attacking again. With the Magadai, I'd say you can be a bit more persistent when you have a friendly king. Anatan, of course, bringing his own heals here, though. Osman going to back up a little bit. B, able to get the keep online. Spearmen are going to be baited into the dive. Now, going under the keep like this is a little bit dangerous, but it's bogging down the horseman. In the meantime, Magadai just trying to sidestep, move in range of the Onimusha, but not able to get that gap closed quick enough. Scatbrain on point, going for the Kaburia, which gives him that disengage speed. King is going to get sniped, so no AoE heal on the go, at least for another minute now. Meanwhile, dive comes in. B, he intercepts him before the wall goes up. So no early warning, no early delay. B is now in like a wolf in a henhouse here. And Pink, he doesn't have any defense at home. He sent everything into the mid-map. Good read, good timing. And now, of course, you can dive not just on the farms, but past this as well and punish this free TC English player. Not to mention the ripple effect, right? Knocking into Green's base and potentially finding that trade on the backside. All that potentially to come here. This was interesting, actually. It's kind of crazy how much better like the economy should have, in theory, been for the East Side team with the way they played this. But the West Side just doubled down on trade so fast. I think Anatan's pivot between being the aggressor and being the greeter was fantastically executed. He's just through the roof at this point, right? Like 82 economy, you wouldn't believe this guy began the game by spamming Horseman. He was meant to be the buffer, right? He was meant to be the gap between success and danger for the Freedy clan by being the sacrificial lamb. Instead, he somehow turned himself manipulatively into the most greedy player on the team. Now, he might look to punish the greed on the other side. Horseman trying to dive in. Magadai are going to look to punish that though. So only a few Horsemen do make it through, but keep in mind Orange is still diving into Pink's base. So B continues to stack up the damage. The economy not looking great, but looking heavily bruised instead for Pink. He's down to 57. He's almost the lowest economy in this game. He will be at this rate as Japan has now gone for a second TC. Horseman Raid's also coming in. Just punishing that for gold. This is the tricky thing as well. Like when you look at it, there's not much trade going on for the East Side team. And I wonder if that's a mistake. You know, usually you're expecting Mongols and French to trade. For some reason, Kaani never bothered to trade. He set it up. He just didn't deploy it. He only has one trader in total. Meanwhile, if we check the other side, on Deniskia, he's got 19 traders already as the teal French player. Desiree is now moving in. Are you kidding me? Scatterbrain is going age 4. This is why I like Japanese so much in team games, right? Like, this is what you get. By building Onimusha, you are the last thing to die. So your firepower scales very well. You maintain it very well. It means that you can essentially be first into Imp 9 times out of 10 on the team. Like, this is a bit weird the way he's trading in, but it's because he doesn't want to run away. But, like, ideally, usually, you're going to be with a second player, and that second player will play Body Blocker. You'll play Sacrificial Lamb, right? You'll be a French player with only 9 knights at 18 minutes in a team game. That's the trade-off. However, big mistake made here. Scatterbrain, he got a bit too greedy, a bit too deep, and Auberjoy will run down every single one of the ladies. Damn, heavy hit there. So Scatterbrain actually going down to almost no army, only 3 left. Oi, oi, oi. A brutal situation. I mean, he's down to 0 military. Unless you count the Monk. I can't believe that. That swung around so quickly, but it kind of reveals the fragility of them. Absolutely brutal. I'm gobsmacked, man. I didn't think he was going to take the bait. I didn't actually think that Auberjoy would be able to stick on him that hard. Now, maybe some momentum swinging in favor of the Eastside team. Double military strength. Tech up on the way as Green, not being very present, but he will be in the future, has gone all the way up into Imperial Age. And is this the famous announcement this week? Oh, no, no, no. There's going to be an announcement, a big announcement this week from me. Keep your eyes out. I'm figuring out the exact day I'm going to drop it. We're probably looking at Wednesday or Thursday. But this is crazy, man. I can't believe this. I thought this game was over. This game looked like it was just going to be an easy peasy peel and win for the Freedy clan. But all of a sudden, Vietnam woke up. They find their timing, but the question mark now is, can they keep it? Scatterbrained, looking scatterbrained, as Cracky's trying to point out, with that 1,500 gold just doing nothing for him right now. But we do have a pivot coming in. He's on his way into hand cannon. The problem right now is in small numbers. That doesn't do what you think it does. Magadai able to counter out and cull the initial horde. Now a little bit of a drive-by, run-by into the tree lines. Remember, the Magadai, perfect to raid against economy, especially when there's no textiles like here. Veterancy as well means they're up to 8 damage, so decent killers. Looks like they will be reduced down to nothing. There seems to be a bit of a ripple effect, though, as Green has stuck in onto the trade of 3D Clan. Things just going from worse to worse here. Second group of Magadai arriving with the Desert Raiders. Desert Raiders are following up into Yellow's base. I mean, it's a smart call here, right? We've seen what Japan can do if they're left unfettered, unharassed. They get into Matt's hand cannons, they get the Yuumi. They're some of the most threatening gunners in the game. They're not allowing him to do that. They just keep pressuring into that area. And when they're done with him, they come back for his teammate. Deniska, are you kidding me? When I checked 4 minutes ago, he was at 9 Knights. He's there again, and he's still only age 2. Oh my god. This looks over. I mean, Deniska, he is just a cheerleader at this point. All right, be honest, folks. Getting into this, how many people just thought the 3D Clan were going to run away with it? Like, it's okay to admit it. You look at those names, B, Anatan, and then, of course, the upcomers, Deniska and Scatterbrain, you're like, okay, yeah, no, they got this. But we warned about this. Asia built Div. These guys are wild when it comes to team games. And you're seeing exactly that in game number 1. Deniska is so dead, seems more appropriate here. TC about to go down. The pressure keeps piling in on that location. We've also got the Kurotai moving further in. That's the only thing that's really missing here. The creme de la creme, the chef's kiss that could put them over the edge. Not that they really need it. They're already so strong in this situation. Anatan, though, he's trying to put everyone on his back and carry him here. We've got elite horsemen. We've got hand cannoneers. He's trying to do it all. Hand cannon numbers are at least starting to stabilize for Scatterbrain as well, as we have the first Yuumi coming out to give that extra buff. Knights are absorbing a lot of the shots here. A bit of a mistake, a missed micro there by Opajoy. However, they do have this strong English army nearby. Would benefit from having that impop to be elite speared, but we're not there yet, right? It's got about 50 villagers on food. He could reach up in about the next minute and a half, 2 minutes. Ah, yes, I see Mahodo is salty. Dude, B's still living rent-free in your head with that HRE build, huh? No, B decided to pick Fast Castle Chinese instead, and it seems to have worked out quite well. Because now we're fast into Imperial Age. 3 players on the 3D Clan are in Imp. 1 player's in Feudal. I can't fathom the dynamics here. This is absurd. Hand cannon near defense now coming through. As it looks like they're trying to storm the castle here. Pink moving in range. The Magadai come into assist from Opajoy, but he needs to target onto his hand cannoneers, not onto the horseman. Lance is now arriving as well. Crossbows will get a better trade there. The horsemen are not going to break through quick enough here. Their numbers have been heavily reduced, but the hand cannoneers are benefiting most from this. Be a double dive now. They're running out of melee units, but they just need to get that trade out against the premium of the 3D Clan. Anatan already looking to back up a little bit to minimize that damage he'd take. Dive comes in on the west side. The hand cannoneers standing their ground against the Desert Raiders will be able to hold on here. The east side, Anatan looks like he's going to lose the main army. The question mark is now, we're primarily just ranged units. What can pink and blue do? I mean, theoretically a lot. If the Magadai just dive past, but instead he just keeps tunnel visioning onto these hand cannoneers. I get it, he wants to try to keep the numbers down, but I do wonder if long-term it serves his team better to be hitting the back trade. Because just 10 Magadai heading over here could do irreparable damage. So much trade exposed. I gotta give it to 3D Clan. They're doing really well for this 3v4 matchup. Poor Deniska. I mean, he has 74 economy. He's not dead, right? He's got a backup TC plan coming into action. I feel like we see this a lot out of French and Zone in particular when we watch team games. They always seem to be the one ran into the ground. Unless you're on the winning side, like Green here, who has 172 economy. Why? Why? Is he going for a wonder instead of just winning the game? He's basically made this a 3v3. Unnecessarily. It could be a 4v3. I guess, he's just playing Enabler here and just throwing resources, but I don't really follow the thought process here. You know, I would say at this point in the game, if you're going to throw resources anyway, It'd be the other way around. I'd rather have mass elite French knights here. I don't know, dog. You know how we're in like a heavy French knight meta in team games? In two different polarizing ways, the French players have kind of felt like the most pointless detail, right? Like, is anyone else feeling that? For Deniska, he just got ran into the ground, didn't matter. For Green, he just like been farming, dude. Like, most people come to play AoE 4 to farm a little, but to also play the game. This guy clearly is a very big Farmville Facebook gamer. I mean, they nerfed slinging, right? Like, what is the tribute now? Is it? I can't remember the number. Is it 20%? In theory, it's good, but like, I'd wonder if you really wanted a slinging player, would it not be better to make the slinging player the Mongol player? I'd love someone to do some tests on this. Does merchant guilds work out better than the Silk Road? Because I'm not sure. Well, he is getting his teammate up. Opajoy about to complete H4. Deniski's like, please, someone send me food. Oh my god. This is so painful to watch. He's going to trade across for it in the end. You know, like, realistically, surely the setup for 3D Clan is that you just have B gather a ridiculous amount of food and have Deniska gather a ridiculous amount of gold. And then you trade out to each other to balance your economies, right? Like, that makes sense, right? Because French trade is better than Chinese trade. Full stop. Because you've got... Oh, God, he doesn't actually have it. I was about to say, you can have merchants guilds. But I just remembered, he's not... he's not in H4. Oh, what a painful game. And is it... Wait, it is 30%. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because slinging, I think, got nerfed after the last EGC tournament, right? Because the ramifications were kind of silly. Like, they had to nerf the cattle slinging, and then they were like, okay, no. Now they're just giving the food over, and this is too good. All right. Deniskia, firm handshakes all around, has reached age 3. It's just ridiculous, the difference between these two. There's going to be a storm down the center here. Dive comes in. Looks like the keeps are going to start failing for B. Anatan just trying to hold the area. Now, in theory, a very powerful Civ with his hand cannoneers if you have a Khan Hunter nearby. But remember, there's only one way that Anatan gets those Khan Hunters, via the Khanate Palace, as he did go for the Silver Tree, not for the Deerstone. So the age 3 landmark, the Krogtai is going to have to back up here. Looks like they're going to start to brute force their way through. Great Wall Gatehouse is already down. I think this is over. Yeah, they played with the food a little bit. I don't know if the slinging was really needed to this degree by Green. But tip of the hat, I guess, you know? If it works, it works. And most definitely, it seems to have worked in this game. This Desert Ray is also just proving quite scary, even for things like the Samurai, remember. Because they do have a lot of melee armor on these bad boys. You can see it there, 9 currently. You're going to get it even higher. In fact, you can cap it out at 13 melee armor if you really want, which would mean that these Samurai would be doing 2 damage per strike. Yes, you heard that correctly. I'll admit it, when the game first released the expansion, I thought that Desert Raiders were going to be kind of memeful. Only OP if you let them scale at a ridiculous pace, but you know, in the right hands, you get that late game, and 1v1s or team games, it feels very feasible to do what we're seeing here. It doesn't seem very feasible for the plan to come back in this one. I think they're going to have to look forward to game number 2 for their recovery arc, because this opening one is all Team Vietnam. The Magadai are in. They're on their way towards the back of the base, and we all know how this story goes. It's a story 3+ years old. You're in a team game, and 40 Magadai just found your trade. I should probably blur all this out. It's a bit too violent for YouTube. Ooh. Yeah, split 2 ways. Okay, no, come on. Be even more efficient about this. The murder never needs to stop with the Mongol train. Oh, God. Do you think Mongol players have to shower after they do these type of things? Or are they such dirty individuals that there's no point? Probably the latter, right? Oh my god! Deniski's not even running the trade away anymore! Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be this dirty, you might as well just not shower, right? Just let the dirtiness become part of your being. Embrace it. Roll in it. Like a pig in... And this, folks, is why Mongols gets banned so frequently in team tournaments. All it takes is one teensy tiny opening, and all of a sudden you've lost 100 economy. Probably more. Good God. I like to think that 3D Clan, yeah, they were already ready to GG, but their jaws were just dropping, and instead of typing GG, their jaw hit the G key multiple times to end this one. Mangadai in team games. What a unit. Did we do the maths when they reworked Mangadai that they gig increased their DPS in late game? Yeah, which is kind of dumb because the change was meant to be specifically against armored units that they weren't as good, right? Which is wild. Where exactly in the bracket is this game? So we decided to open up with the... So this one, we cast... I don't want to spoil anything. This is like early on in the bracket. So we thought we'd check in on this series. And then afterwards, we're going to be checking on the newest series that happened, which was on Saturday. Which will be between... trying to remember the names of the teams now. Liu Tao B and Bohemian Bros. Bohemian Bros is the team that has BLB on it, who's one of the top ranking people in team games. And then the Louis Tao is the Chinese stacks. So we'll be checking on those. All right, so give me a sec. I'm going to get game number 2 up. Good Lord, what a massacring. Yeah, and then we have an update on the rest of the tournament because, like, I was under the impression that games were going to be happening. Things weren't communicated quite quickly. There is a pause on the team games until after the patch. So, Clearman's words on this is that the games will resume on October 28th. What I'm curious about, though, is whether there is going to be the lower bracket games being played sooner because they are not on a fixed schedule. They're just played as can be. And no, as to my knowledge, Turkey versus VNC did not get played. In fact, I'm going to double check with him. And presumably lower bracket games can be played after the patch, but before 28th. So yeah, so 28th is when the upper bracket at least will resume, which is where we've got Ting Mao Ged versus Vietnam. Ting Mao Ged was Louis MT stack. They looked insanely strong. And Team Vietnam is the Mia Micah Kia Lumber Vuva Van stack. And Liu Tao A and GQS on the other side of the upper bracket as well, which is a double Chinese matchup. So let me get ready with the second game because we're actually heading into Baltic. When is the patch? Tomorrow. It's meant to be tomorrow. It says on the website at 15 GMT? Sorry, 17 GMT, right? So I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to do because I want to go live tomorrow, but it might become a little bit awkward with the patch, but we'll see. Maybe we can get something done. Maybe I'll like throw a few bucks at 2 players to immediately be ready to play a show match as the patch drops. That would be a cool idea. And then I need to figure out what I'm doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm hoping to know that by tomorrow because basically, guys, I have a tech conference that I'm hosting. Usually the tech conference starts a lot earlier in the day. We're talking like my time, maybe like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. start because they're in Eastern Europe. So if that's the case, that's going to be great because that means that we'll be able to... Oopsie, let me get the game ready. That means that we'll be able to... Dude, I hate how it does this every time. We'll be able to probably stream after I finish that for the day, which will be great. So yeah, we'll see about that. I'll have more details hopefully later today or tomorrow because they haven't given me the details on what track I'm going to be hosting and everything else. So I bumped them about that because usually that's a good thing to get across to someone maybe earlier than the week of the event. But hey, I work in esports, so I'm used to not knowing until 24 hours before an event. Patch celebration stream will be awesome. I guess many pros will be playing and trying stuff. Yeah, but like I think maybe, I don't know, maybe giving them like $2.5 or $5 a map or whatever, something like that, maybe encourages them to get creative and like play hard instead of like what usually happens in the first week of a patch is maybe people just try something really dumb and then lose in a weird way. Look at that. Voldemort. Wait. So when you say that you're my bitch for $5, what you mean is I pay you $1 per map, right? Oh, the things Voldemort's about to do for me. You know what we'll have to do with Voldemort to really make him the Voldemort of true? We're gonna have to put him in a community games lobby with those nuclear weapons we shoot off earlier. Oh, dude, I would pay to catch his reactions to those. All right. Oh, sorry, I just realized. Let's flip the UI, and then we can flip score. Let's get underway. As long as it's not a Vietnam opponent. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, actually, Voldemort. Where was the Danish stack in this 4v4 tournament? You have the boys, you got MSN, you got yourself. You could have maybe teamed up with one of the other Scandinavian nations to make it happen. Team Scandinavia to the top. Instead, it's looking like it might be the Eastern Europeans, the CIS boys, who are able to take it to the top. We're into the second game of this lower bracket elimination series, and the 3D clan are holding on by a string. The Vietnamese squad slapped them about pretty hard in that last one. I'm pretty sure they've got the right to file a few police reports after that experience. Because that one Mongol raid ruined everything. And they could do it again. Opus Joy is on the Mongols once more. Only this time, we're on Baltic. This is intriguing, actually. So, oh god. Yeah, what is with the way this map spawns? Is it me, or is Opus Joy slightly, lonely? He kind of looks lonely, you know? You know why Overjoy is so lonely is he probably like has gamer arms and doesn't work out. If he did work out and use protein works to make sure he got his whey protein each day, he'd be swole enough that everyone would want to hang out with him, you know? Their own little Vietnamese Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Instead, he's more like the Pebble Johnson. However, we'll have to see if he's able to be impactful in this flank position. Because one thing I was thinking about is in water games, I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics in the team environment, guys. So things like, for example, English getting extra range on their ships means you could have them be primarily your Springald ship player. The Chinese getting so much gold via the Imperial Academy means you could have them as your demo ship player, right? On the other side of this, I think it's even cooler from the Mongol perspective. Because think about it this way. Oh my god, my bad. I misclicked. So here's a cool thing to think about with the Mongols. Mongols and piracy. This should be your archer ship player. Because when there's a big fight and you just touch all those ships and then they get sunk, you hit the payday. And that could also then lean into them kind of assisting with the demo ship play that the Chinese player on this side should also be able to engage with. So yeah, in theory, these are all cool ideas. I think we might eventually see the meta develop deep enough that we get to that stage. We just need time. I don't think we're there yet, right? It's a tricky thing to develop too, because the thing you have to keep in mind is in these earlier phases of developing a team meta, and by earlier phase, I mean we haven't put enough esports money in it to really hit the absolute perfection. You're going to have all these gaping issues around communication, positioning, and also the fact that on a map like Baltic, if you rely on one player only for your demo ships, and he's a flank player, and let's say 2 knights right into his economy, your whole plan begins to unravel. So it looks like Anatan has gone for the Coca Township build as expected here. I mean, it's expected, but it's kind of weird in team games, right? Like, it makes a lot of sense in 1v1s, but the map is so big in these environments, it's difficult to find the same level of impact. But the thing to keep in mind, 2 things. One is that they won't know where to look for the Shinobi because there's so many targets, so you can always ruin people's production rates. And 2, they won't know where to look for the Shinobi, so you can also ruin their economy. Because you can just shuffle between bases. You have to think of Shinobi as kind of like a mini French knight. It's slower, but also more subtle, more nuanced, less expensive, and tends to get in places that French knights cannot. Alright, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit because also we got the fishing. Abbey of Kings as well. Okay, wait. That's kind of nasty. Yeah, that's actually dirty now that I think about it. That's a sick combo, guys. So having the Coca Township and the King means you're going to have a lot of sustainability with these Shinobi as long as you micro them right. Like, they could legit just win this game off of Shinobi King. Because, like, what do you have on the other side? I mean, you can have your own Shinobi, but you lose. And in fact, weirdly enough, Kaani isn't even trying to do Shinobi. He chose the greedy route. Who won the last game? The Vietnamese squad won the last game. It escalated really bloody quickly. Scout? Ooh, Shinshin already used an opportunity there to get the snipe. But he's on the move. That has now been scouted, so Teal knows about this. And best thing you can do is kind of mirror the movement of the Shinobi so they know where to intercept. We should already have a Spring Ship coming out from Opajoy. West side is where things are uncomfortable, though. We've got a crawl-in coming in from Hung ADC. It's being mirrored. We legit have a Chinese mirror here, guys. Holy crap. Alright, one's if you think the Free Clan are going to get this. Two's if you favor Vietnam. I think the big difference here that I'm seeing is the Japanese. And I don't like the Kura Storehouse at all. I mean, sure, the Shinobi are going to take a long time to do anything, but by the time they arrive, there's going to be about 5 of them? What do you do against that? Because as I said, it's not about your land economy here. Or rather, your sea economy. It's about your land economy, right? Because your land economy is going to get exposed. For the Mongol player, fine. But say for the Japanese player, say for the HRE player, look how far out this tree line already is. Mentions of being castle, but I don't think we've got that type of rush on our hands, guys. Like, when you're playing water, you can't as easily castle rush like this. Everyone needs to be present and able. Present to disable their opponents, because we're going to get Tuan trying to move in with the double demo now. Archership already on the way, though, so KS has the protection for himself. Right now, this is all just red, as B hasn't really contributed that much militarily. He went full greed. Shinobi already denying here as well. And looks like the Archership creep in from Anatan enables his own play. Scatterbrain now also on the way with those superior English vessels. Remember, cheaper and also can get into Admiralty, which he already did. Why do I get the feeling this is going to turn into a 3v4 in water? Because the Mongol player is about to get denied on all docks, right? And you've already got Springald ships coming up. There's enough Shinobi here to perma-disable. I don't think there's enough protection from the east side to stop the Shinobi doing whatever they want. West side, the pressure's at least going to start mounting up as they start to get rid of some of the docks belonging to B. But all of a sudden, B now rapidly pacing into his own Springald production here. And time diving deep. Scatterbrain there with the assist, though. Good target fire coming in. He's getting rid of the Archer ships next. There's going to be a dive with the demo ship. Unable to get in before the Archer ship reacts here. Shinobi are still looming nearby, looking for that sabotage. Yeah, this has turned into a 2v2 and a 2v2. And right now, I'd say the west side one is drawn. This is a win for 3D Clan, though. They're ruining the Mongol player. And that's tough, right? Like, if this had been a 4v4, the Mongol player would be the biggest benefactor due to the way that piracy works. In this environment, it's just not worth it. He hasn't even teched it. He needs more ships before he can do anything with it. Kaani, slightly overextended. Nice denial on the demo ships. I think, actually, Anatan has just been on point. He hasn't let a single demo slip in here. Behind this, Ani has at least gone to age 3, so it looks like we are going to get one Japanese player trying to rush on land, but the wall's already on the west side. The wall's up on the east side. Mounted Samurai aren't going to be your immediate deliverer here. In fact, this choice to go castle could deliver them back to the lobby with a loss. Dock on fire, soon to be gone. North one as well, also in trouble. West side, there's at least a push in. Hung ADC looking to gain some ground here. And KS has the demo ships ready. B gets a one-to-one trade. Juan, no reaction here. The demos get in. And that's going to do some serious damage. Demo connection should be good. Nice split at the end to minimize the losses there. That reset, look at the difference here. Pink's backing up, purple hangs around. They punish him for it. Another demo connect, no reaction again. Hung ADC being hung out to dry on this one. I mean, he doesn't have much military left, right? Down to 4 Springles, and that's about it. That means they're 1v2ing sequentially here. Meanwhile, on the east side, there's a wraparound. Green has been removed from the water. Teal, of course, doesn't have any water because he went for the boost up in age. Anyone's getting boosted up from this. Looks to be 3D Clan. What a swift strike here, dude. This is crazy. The way they play Boltink was really well executed. I love the delayed attack on the east side. They synced that up perfectly with the Shinobi play. And by doing so, they enabled Scatterbrain to get into Admiralty before they made a move. Just very succinct in their approach here. I mean, usually going Admiralty can be difficult early because it puts you a boat behind. But in a team game environment with a Japanese teammate, he's able to put your opponents multiple boats behind with the sabotage. That's why this looks so clean from Scatterbrain to Nanatant. And then on the west side, all B and KS had to do is hold, right? B and, by the way, KS is cat, for those who don't know. They just had to hunker down, make sure they did not lose the west side, made sure that they built enough vessels to keep their opponents involved, and then go from there. Oh, this is cool. I don't know. I was wondering if I was going to upload this, because it like, feels like it's going to be such a quick game, but now that I think back through the process of how to get here, I think this is a very elegantly executed water map. You know, sometimes water just becomes this big ball of silly. And you could argue the west side was a bit of that, as it's a complete mess. But this east side move was so beautifully executed that it deserves its showpiece. Shinobi now just sneaking into Kaani's. So soon it's going to be a 2 versus 4 on water. Not a very applicable situation, not one you can win, really. Quan trying to send Horseman down the flank, but he's being held up by a single villager. Oh, folks, that means we're getting the game free, though, so I'm happy about that, at least. What way to do it. You know, after that almost immediate loss once the Magadai snuck through, it kind of felt the same way in this game when the Shinobi snuck in. Just too much ground to run back to safely. Too hard to keep track of. Not too hard to stay alive because the pincer maneuver is coming in. The CIS sandwich is about to be complete. It's got a nice big meaty filling of Vietnamese in the center. Quan, pretty much the only one left standing on water here. But not for long. Demo ship pull is not going to be good enough here. Cat, a little bit silly with zone, so it looks like Red is going to lose a lot of demo ships and not get much for it, but it doesn't matter. They have enough backline ships to brute force this. I mean, I admire the attempt by Opusjoy to become a land civ. Sadly, I have this feeling he needs about 10 more minutes than they actually have in this game. And let me know what you think about this, guys. I mean, I know water is a debatable subject. It's a very mixed bag how people feel about it, but you know, sometimes they are short for the wrong reasons. This felt short for the right reasons. Just an absolutely clean execution between Cat and Nanatant. Well, we do have Imperial Pass now on the way, so Hung ADC is trying to hang in there, but it's all gone. They've agreed. GG. No way back. Without fishing, it is simply a death waiting to be reaped. Ooh, very quick game there in the second one, but really cool one, like I said. I think, actually, I need to title both of these, don't I? Magadai may need another rework. And then that one. Trying to think like how to word that one on the title. Let me get the next game ready actually for you guys. So, Opusjoy. Game number 3. Where are we going with this one? Rocky River. Okay. Rocky River can be quite campy. I don't know. The more I've watched Rocky River, the more I feel like it's one of the most likely maps to drag late. Just something about its approach that makes it just so wallable. Also, your starting point is just so defendable. Right? So, let me load that up. It's loading now, and then we'll hop in for that. After this, like I said, we're going to be heading into the Bohemian Bros versus Liu Tao B set, which took place on Saturday. But we weren't streaming on Saturday, so official English broadcast done on Monday. So let me switch over now. Sorry, I'm just typing up the other title there. Let me increase that to 1.1, and then let me fix the cursed UI. By going doink doink. All right, 1 second, guys. I just need to word this title and how it's going to be. Oh, there we go. Sorry, did that. Oof. So wait, what, are we the right way around? We are. Fantastic. The central clogs of water, always interesting how important players use them. I mean, dude, the players don't really use them, though. I mean, they use them to efficiently wall off, but when was the last time you saw a player actually fish? Right, and you can see why, by the way. Like, we are on a 4v4 map spawn, right? And the best you'll get out of one of these ponds is free shoreline fish. I don't know, man. I think they over-nerfed shoreline fish on this map. I get that when it first came out, it was a lot of shoreline fishing. But my argument to it was, like, it was too soon to make the call that that was the way the map was always going to play. Right? And also, the nerf was too drastic. It used to be 4 fish. They put it down to 2. Should have remained at 3. I think it should have been an incremental nerf. Like, I'm usually a big fan of these drastic nerfs, but I don't know. I don't know if there was enough foresight in that to what it was going to do to the map. Because the map just became very campy after that. Right? Like, I think here, more so than most maps, or maybe it's just because I see so much of this map, I see people just camp and go fast castle. Like, all the time. Alright, let's get ready to get underway, though. I reckon, I'm not sure how long the other set's going to be, but I have a feeling like we'll run out of content when it comes to team games, but then we can hop into some 1v1s anyway. So there'll be something to do. Use villagers to get shorefish when you have map control. I mean, like, depends on the civ, right? Like, maybe you eventually get this with mills because you're getting the deer and the berries, but it's very rare you'd come out for just the fish themselves. Alright, let's go ahead. Oh, wait, I just realized. Deniskia, yeah, because they have 5, right? I feel absolutely scammed. This Vietnamese squad has a player called B, and this is the 3rd game, and they've still not brought him out. Dude, I want a refund on my ticket to this show. Want to know, welcome back to AoE for Action. We've got another fun one. The deciding game in the lower bracket series between the Freedy clan and the Vietnamese stack Hanoi. Yeah, this is a banger as well. That quick comeback in game number 2 really reset the field, but now we have to think maybe a bit more long-term, get into that mid-game, that late game, because in the game 1, things looked scrappy and messy for Freedy Clan, and things began to look very clean for the Vietnamese squad off the back of this Mongol pick. Could it happen again, considering we're on a land map that has a tendency to go into the late game because of how wallable Rocky Canyon is? Let's find out. Oh, sorry, Rocky River. God, what? Okay, I'm going to call him out on this. I think it's fair. Biddle, why? Why did he decide to do this? Where he had, was it Rocky Canyon and Rocky River? But then there was another one. I can't remember the original. Rocky River is the one that's here, right? This is the one in the game. But there was Rocky Canyon that was created for an EGC tournament. And then he had something, Dry River. That was it, Dry River. And he's like, I'm going to merge the two. And they were already confusing for people to discern from each other in the first place. I mean, I guess in that way, at least removed the fact there was 2 maps and made it 1. Yeah, looks like we've got B back on the Chinese from game 1 as well. So both sides having French is pretty atypical. French and Mongols seem to be highly coveted by East and West teams alike. The French, for obvious reasons, French Knights are just incredibly oppressive, gives you a lot of pressure across the map. And then the Mongol pick is just dirty whenever you trade, right? The Magadai players can just win games. We saw that in game number 1 of this series. HRE is kind of interesting with Ibids, though. Usually you'd say this is weird because you're expecting Ibids to be a fast castle civ, but you have to remember that in team games, Ibids play very differently to 1v1s. In 1v1s, you're thinking, oh god, how do I get to castle? In team games, if you're 30 minutes in and you're still feudal age, but you've got 80 desert raiders, you're pretty content as an Ibid player. But HRE, I'm expecting to be a fast castle strat here. There are situations where it's much better to play aggro. This is not one of them, and that's why you're seeing Hung ADC go for H3. Because when you're up against English and Chinese, your pressure points are kind of weaker, right? And also, China can rush tech just as quickly as you can. And the issue is that if that happens, you're on a map where you're split a bit too much. So like for me, I only really rate HRE as a feudal play civ when the map creates a concave, right? So for example, when we've watched Dry Arabia games, the players have been spawning like circular to each other. That's where HRE makes sense because you're able to hit the closest player very quickly. The closest player on this map is ready for it. I'm not even halfway. You get the picture, right? Like, it would take way too long to reach Cat's base to do any damage. And also, you'd be rushing into a Frenchman's base with archers, right? So it's like doubly bad. So tech up completes. We have got Magadai being spammed by Anatan already. Other side, Opajoi is mirroring the move, but notably slower. And we already have a marketplace of Joy as well. I do love the fact they both went Deerstone. I think it makes a lot of sense. You can eventually creep out some outposts to give the Magadai that mobility, but it's also just very important for the efficiency of early game. You never know what you're going to have to do. When you go for trade, I think it's just a little bit too greedy early on. And it denies you of all flexibility, right? If you know you're going to have to open Magadai first, better just focus on your land economy being villages, and then shift into trade after you build a lead. Opajoi. So he's going to just deploy in time there before the blockers would come through. Quan, I'm wondering. There's no world in which he's going to age up. Right, you already see him. He's queuing up 5 more Desert Raiders. West side, Scatbrain did go 2TC, so you know what his real objective is here. The King is there to provide the heal aura for the Magadai mass, and that's pretty much going to be his only contribution until he's teched up. B with the age 3. What are we getting into here? It looks like Lancers are on the way, which makes a lot of sense on a map this big. You can always pivot into Zhuge Nu when the enemy come close to you, but it feels really bad to have to go infantry when you're doing this dance in the mid-map. Usually I feel like infantry, unless you've got mobility skills, such as HRE's marching drills, feels really bad in team games with this type of format. Right? Like, you want to be in the cav. If you're going into infantry, it's because something went wrong. It's back and forth trade. Magadai just trying to dunk, but unfortunately the Desert Raider is just a little bit too much range there. Meanwhile on the east side, Knights have been skirmishing in. I think they got a little bit of chip damage done there, but nothing too substantial. Hung ADC still at 29 economy. So the King is going to go down. So an expensive loss there. Another awkward issue is you're noticing they're a lot more hesitant to set up trade on Rocky River compared to like Hill and Dale. Obvious reasons, right? Like less walled in map. There's a lot of open ground, a lot of poke points that you could be vulnerable from. That's why no one wants to rush out, because when you look at what's being built, on both sides, it's 3 players contributing cav. Curious to see how this English player is going to really pay off for the Frida Clan, though. Scatterbrain, he is on his way up to age 3, and that's when we'll start to see him present. I don't think you're going to see Knights, to be honest with you guys. I don't think you can do Knights as English if there is a Desert Raider play on the other side. So we're likely going to see him stacking up a slow-moving army. Nice trade here, though. Looks like there's a bit of miscommunication there. Opajoi, a little bit too far forward, chasing on his own. Didn't have any Knights to front line for him, which means the Magadai belonging to Anatan have been trading out freely. A lot of danger on these flanks as well, and I don't think that has been noticed just yet. Actually, I say that. Scatterbrain, he knows. So Scatterbrain, he should be pinging this to his teammates right now. That's a lot of exposed economy. Ka'ani having a quarter of his villagers out nowhere near safety. The problem right now is they're so fixated on the east side, right? Like, the dynamics at play here is that, in a way, Kahani might be aware of these raid risks, but he understands they won't be coming in a rush because everything is focused on stopping the HRE player right now. You don't want him bringing relics home. He already has 2. You want to try to deny him from getting a 3rd. Is it a legit tactic ever to slingshot one player economically? It used to be in the early game, but then they nerfed it because you now have to spend 30% of what you give as tribute. So the player only receives 70%. After they made that change, we also had nerfs to cow slinging for the Malians because that was also broken. So there are situations where you sling, but the way it usually works is to catch up the blocker player, which is typically French. So, French in these formats will do as much as they can to attack. And then you'll have, China and English that have great economy that provide the resources to tech them up. And Magadai can end up putting you in the same hole as Mongols, right, if you can't set up trade. Speaking of which, Auberjoy does already have his kicking off. We do not see the same out of Anatan just yet. We do, however, have walls now coming up from Scatterbrained. So no decisive blow yet. I mean, chip damage is definitely added up, right? 186 to 160. And you have to remember, B, he never went for that second TC, right? So it's not like he inflated to a crazy degree. We do, however, have free TC English, which is making up a big piece of the gap. Militarily, things too undeniably seem to be in Vietnam's favor. Especially if they can force an awkward engagement here. 3 players now bring their cavalry in for the first time. We're about to see Vietnam looking to attack 3D Clan's economy. And they're going straight for the Mongol player. For good reason, guys. The Mongol player can't wall himself in any way, in any form. A little bit of hesitance there, though. A bit surprised by that choice. I think they were just waiting for reinforcements. It's a bit tricky. You might be wondering why not dive the English player. Static defenses are strong, right? Look at their comp. Desert Raiders plus Magadai. Both of them have no ranged armor. That's why they want to go after the Mongol, but got to be a little bit careful about this, right? The big issue you have is the Khan Hunter with Magadai there and the movement speed. So they can skirt the range to hit Desert Raiders to try and hit the Knights. The problem is the Desert Raiders are benefiting as well, though. You can see that 5.5 tower range. Another reason why Mongol Ayabid is so dirty in these games. He should be getting kited right now and killed because Magadai should be outgunning, outranging him. Or at least matching it, but instead they're exceeding the range. Thanks to the Mongol ally. Big damage done here. Anatan idled up in his own base. And also, it's a good thing they didn't set up trade behind this. Otherwise, they'd definitely be dead. Anatan has shifted away with 17 of his workers far, far away from home. Mainly Magadai going to try to trade out the best they can, but the Camelanese there, definitely a stinger, a blocker to your income. How do you get out of this awkward situation? I mean, they've got Imp HRE on the east side. English are still pretty firm, though. Scatterbrained is about to tech up. I'd love to see him just go for the Wingard here. I don't think there's much value in a Berkshire unless you want to run out to the mid-map, but without anyone able to create the space there, that would be way too risky. Worry about boosting a Mongol to Imp Magadai? No. Don't boost him in a rush. You make him earn it. Make him claim some scalps, you know? So many Magadai in these team games. It's really just starting to hit in my brain just how many we have. Triple TC from... Okay, this is the most cat thing. I don't know why I'm surprised. Anyone who's watched me cast a cat game is used to seeing this. It doesn't matter what civ he's playing, he likes town centers a lot. I mean, makes sense, right? If your village is going to take a bunch of arrows to the face, you might as well buy new ones. You know, like... If you crack your mobile phone screen, do you, like, keep using it or buy a new one? If you can afford it, you buy a new one. French TCs, folks. You can always afford them. At least that's what they tell me on Reddit. It's like B is just hiding now into Scatterbrain's economy. He's doing himself a favor, right? Like, you know, Chinese are usually okay with taking berries. English should kind of spit upon that idea because they want farms. So he's just kind of getting rid of them so he has more space. A little bit of a raid on the east side here, so damage done there as it looks like B is sneaking in with the Lances. Wolves will be able to slow him down though, so the Desert Raiders should be able to mirror out and kill. It's kind of crazy actually, after what should have happened from all of this. Look at the size of the economy of the West Side team. 3D Clan are still ahead by a mile. 50 eco up over the Vietnamese stack. Which is wild when you consider how deep those Magadai and Desert Raiders reached, but it's because of the dodges. Anatan didn't lose that much economy realistically. He blocked a lot of the losses compared to what it should have been, right? Like, he's definitely low at 42, granted, acknowledged. But then again, so is Pink. Pink has suffered more than Green. And on the flip side, notice the true eco boomers haven't. You've got 2 of them on the West Side team versus 1 on the East. Lancer's also now just playing blocker to the trade. Because, of course, they're trying to go for that neutral trade post. It's close enough to the backside. They want to try to maximize what they're getting out of this. I mean, it would be good, right? 18 food, 178 gold, but B, he now knows about it. He knows the line that they're taking here, so he can just keep running up and down it to intercept. Good God, overjoy. That's a bulky army coming in. Anatan, of course, did age free ahead of his opponent, but he doesn't have much of an army to defend with against this. He's gonna need some help. Anatan now in trouble, and the Magadai with the dive in. Villagers, they get found this time. A little bit of hesitation there. I can't believe that. Auberjoy, probably the best opportunity he had to go in to reach maximum OP joy in this game. He backs away from it. Could have easily killed another 15 villagers there and still had about 20, 25 Magadai. That hesitation might have just cost him dearly. There's no other opportunity here, right? Like, realistically, Orange shouldn't be diveable in his eyes anyway, which is why he's not going in. The weird part is if he did dive into B's base, he'd find a very vulnerable Chinese player. Like, look how uncomfortable this map spawn is for B. He's building farms around his TCs. Imagine all archers are cheaper to produce, but each arrow costed like 0.5 wood. I mean, if you want that type of mechanic, you should probably check out Cossacks, because Cossacks actually has that. Cossacks, by the way, was inspired by Age of Empires. But the idea of Cossacks is that things actually expend resources to use things. So, for example, archer units use iron. Musket units will use iron and coal when they shoot. And then mercenaries have a passive trickle of gold you have to spend to keep them. Same with your boats. If you fail with these things, with the gunpowder units, they'll stop firing. And with the mercenaries and the pirates, if you run out of gold, they'll actually defect. So yeah. One of my favorite RTSs from my childhood. And yes, all units use food, which means if you ever run out of food, your units start randomly dying, which was one of my favorite mechanics in the early 2000s. I still remember turning a game because a guy neglected his farms, but his army was 3 times larger than me. Was 3 times larger than me. Magadai raised now coming in. Well, looks like Chaos is not going to have to worry about feeding his people much. There might not be many of them as Purple's villagers get ran down. Cap, the free TC build, now has less economy than Anatan, who's been consistently raided throughout this game. That is 2 players heavily kneecapped by the Vietnamese. I mean, the counterattacks have been decent though, right? Pink is suffering just as much, but Auberjoy not enough. And well, Hung ADC is loving life. He's now reached that late game juicy HRE economy phase. H-Up's also now starting to tick in. Scatterbrain finally arriving in the game, and he does so with the Horseman. It's the Wingard Palace. This is it. This is the landmark to turn games around, folks. The production rate on this building is insane. Look at the funnel of troops coming. It's what's allowing him to now get out and enable and recover the game for the 3D Clan. And not just on his own, because assistance is on the way. B is going to provide the back line, while Scatterbrain provides the swiftly arriving front line here. It's a little bit difficult against these men-at-arms, at least the initial wave, but the crossbows will be able to start mopping that up. Be a little bit annoying for him, though, mind you. Remember, these men-at-arms, they do have the elite army tactics, so feels like B may actually have to back up a little bit here. Instead, he's going to end up losing all these forward crossbows. Elsewhere, we have got the Knights raiding, though. I wondered where they were. Scatterbrained with 50 cavalry. He just refuses to use them to defend. Makes sense, right? Like, purple's pretty much dead. Green's looking rough as well, so why hang around here when you can return the pain? Teal, who's on free TC, is going to need those free TCs soon. The villagers nowhere for them to run and hide. There's going to be, what, a cull of at least 20 economy. And Scatterbrained is still going to have the military alive to contest because Ka-Ani, usually French Knights to be favored here, but these are elite Knights versus French Knights. Evens the playing field, right? Makes it more favorable for yellow. And this is starting to draw pressure away, right? When you start to do this type of attack, instead of diving your base, the reinforcing wave of someone like Hung ADC or Opa Joy has to go towards clearing this up instead. What a mess this is turning into. I love this from Purple, though. Dude, what is it with 3D Clan and the French players staying H2? We're 21 minutes in. He's about to at least tech up. Eventually, this will pay off, by the way. He lost the TCs. He needed to replace them. But the cool thing about what he's doing here is he's padding Anatan's base. So if he's able to then imp rush beyond this, he'll get access to those Arbalest emplacements inside these TCs, which is really important because Anatan can't wolf them. He can't protect them. By shuffling his base into Anatan's, they now have less grounds they need to wall. And also, when a dive comes in here, plenty of static defenses that are going to hurt. Trade is about to kick up as well. Other side of this, is it me or... No, yeah, they have none. Trade got shut down completely. This is wild, guys. I really want to emphasize how ugly this game was looking for the CIS squad about 5 minutes ago. Look up at the economy now. Look at the military. Tell me anything that is going well for Vietnam. I mean, even the relic count, right? The final toll was, what, 5? Okay, 6. So there's the one thing that went well for them. Archery player got banned. But no one else does. Wall's now going up, but maybe a little bit too late here. Hung ADC, he's trying to pad them a bit. And the comment about walls, they did have walls, they just done a different style here. Instead of walling across map, they decided to wall between the bases to stop raids from rippling over, which is actually quite smart. The reason why you do this instead, by the way, is if your opponents are already raiding, walling here doesn't work because the villagers get sniped. Walling here doesn't mean that you won't lose economy, it just means instead of 2 players losing economy, 1 player does. Unfortunately, it just feels like the attacks the other way didn't do enough, and whoo-wee! Would you believe this man had to run half his economy across map? No. Actually, I would now, because half his economy technically is constantly running across map. 34 traders for Anatan and growing. Scatterbrained now diving in, and look at this damage. Hung ADC. A lot of farms going idle. Now, of course, you can quickly replace with the Palace of Swabia, but it's still going to be idle time on your food gathering, something that you cannot afford right now. I'm going to try to contest this, but remember, those are elite knights. The funny part is actually Scatterbrained would be doing so much better here if he remembered Blacksmith decks. We're 24 minutes into a game with elite knights, yet they don't even have ranged armor 1. And yet it doesn't matter. He just always has so many because of the Wingard Raiders. I don't know, man, in FFA you should have. Yeah, but like in FFA, you don't have teammates that you separate your bases from like this. Right? Like that's a very different situation. That's like playing golf and then making a comparison to basketball, right? It's like, it's a team game versus a 1v1. Or actually, I guess in a way, a free-for-all, depending on the format. But everyone on the 3D clan is about to be in beige. Meanwhile, Quan is still in H2. Oh no. There's not going to be much left of me either. 52 economy, but soon that's going to shrivel up and die. Ka-Ani just trying to hold this back, but the English spam is undeniable. Wave after wave of cavalry is coming over that hill. And there seems to be no end in sight and no solution either. One by one, each of them is falling to Scatterbrained. Medici, ay caramba, non-stop here. Great Wall Gatehouse is indeed down with the clock tower next to it because B wants to have that mobility. He's gone into hand cannoneers. He's got the pyrotechnics. He's going to have the Yuan Dynasty movement speed. This man is going to be a lethal dose of pain if he even reaches the base before this game is over. Scatterbrain things have slowed down. A bit of a miscommunication there, B. He didn't place a gate, which is why Scatterbrain is now taking much longer to arrive with his trickler troops. And Anatan is on 58 traders. He's not the only one trading, folks. It is him and Purple. This is French for you. They will always trade, eventually. Whether they want to or not. Oh, this is looking undeniably over. I'm trying to think of what the way out is meant to be. I mean, if they get the stone walls up, I could see a way, but there's still so much of the map to wall. And so many troops coming in, it's hard to believe you'll get them up in time. Finally, B will remember to place a gate this time. Quan barely exists at this stage. He has 0 military. I don't remember the last time I saw that blank. That's new. And now I might end up blank on the villages as well. Look at this. It's going to turn to a massacre. Nice try to hold. The veterancy against the elite stats, not going to be good enough. There's really nothing left of Quan here. Or LQ Tuan, rather. I keep going Quan. Which is appropriate, because in this situation, what you Quan do... there we go. That makes me feel better about myself. At least I had a noise for it. Till in the center has at least got the keeps up. So a lot of gold gathering for him. He's going to need it to pump out the knights. Right now, I'm seeing a big difference, though. Jesus. 41 knights versus, what, 7 royal knights. We forgive you. I don't forgive myself. Like a Mongol outpost rushing one tricker. I know what I've done, and I accept it. I deserve all the karma coming my way. Tuan might be reduced down to Juan when it comes to village. Okay, jeez, now I really need to stop. It's just, he has free TC. He has free marketplaces prep, but I just don't see how he's ever meant to scrape back into this. Yellow right now on his own is oppressing him. And once he's done with this, he's going to shuffle into the second base. Right? So there's a serious threat of a wraparound here. Hung ADC. I don't know what these villagers are up to. Was this a... Oh my god, no. I mean, it was ambitious to say the least of it. Hung ADC not going to be able to get that forward keep drop. And B, now the slinging Anatan. About to come fully online here. We've got what? Probably mass Keshiks over the hill. Hung ADC has a decent-sized defense force. But what do you do? Right? They're just going to outmaneuver you. All they need to do is hit the south side, which is what they're doing. Check this. He's done picking Tuan apart. It's Kaani's turn. Knight's not going to be stoppable here. There's at least Teal with elite knights now, so kind of able to mirror that out, but the quantity is what really matters here. Scatterbrained with 45 knights, only 19 for Kaani. Full production as well. We've got a switch up on the way, folks. It looks like it's going to be Men-at-Arms next from Scatterbrained. Quite interesting there. I would have expected Spearman. Looks like it's actually prepping both. And what a turnaround, though. I can't believe this. If I show you the state of the map right now, if I told you it was going to be this at 20 minutes, you wouldn't believe me. You'd think I was showing you 2 different games. And the crazy part is, yeah, like you're right, Scatterbrained, he took the greedy route, but then he paid it back. He carried it. The least known player on this team, the lowest ranked player of these when it comes to tournament performances, was the most pivotal to their success. Not massing Magadai? I mean, why would you? Like, what economy are you going to kill? They don't have trade. They barely have villages at this stage. I like the approach he's taking instead, just to go into the Keshiks, crossbows, probably eventually hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers on the wall, by the way. Oh my. That is vile. What are those stats? 8.5 tower range and 53 damage. Sorry, no, not 50. That's way too low. Was that 63 damage? What? Oh my god. Guys, that's not even everything. It could have been higher, right? Like, I'm trying to think there's a way you can get it higher, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, maybe not with this comp. However, you can increase their attack speed. Good god. GG gets called, though. One of them's already left. He's not hung up on this one. He's simply accepted it's going to be a DC. I can't stop myself now that I've started. So 3D Clan able to pull it back in game 3 to stay alive. I don't blame him, right? Like, if I saw this hand cannoneers with 63 damage and 8.5 tower range, I'd pull my Ethernet cable out as well. What an insane, what an insane stack. And there's ways you can get that higher, right? Like, there is a few, I think there's an extra layer or two you can get to increase your damage further. I'd have to double check, but this is the cool thing to think about. Like, team environments are going to get more and more wild the more civs that get introduced, right? Because you're just going to have more and more of these weird little overlaps that can deeply impact the game. Crazy series, though. Well played to the 3D Clan. After the way they opened this up, I thought they were going to just slip out of it entirely, but it looks like they're going to pull it back. A 2-1 scoreline in the end. Guys, if you like these videos, make sure you're commenting on them, make sure you're liking them, and make sure you're sharing them around. That's a big way that people can help. People said before they don't have money to give. You don't need to give money. You can just give support in different ways. So share it with a friend that you know likes some Age of Empires 4 content, and maybe we'll add in some more team tournament content for our channel. We've got plenty of 1v1. It's nice to get this kind of refreshing feel. And you know what was cool about this one? I'm going to get my rant moment. There was no team trade. Neutral trade posts actually got used. They just had to be close enough to the back of the map for that to be the... They still got used. Teal is finally done. He's decided he's not the main protagonist in the anime. GG! 6 series. And I'm sure we're going to get plenty more of these at the 3D Clan. The WTC2 handbook came out? Oh, really? What's so special about that, Jim? Is there maybe a ruling that you can't trade with your teammates? Because it makes sense. Yo, what's up, Stinky92? Thank you very much for the Prime Gaming sub. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate the support. Let me quickly... Dude, that one's like... Gunners have insane stats in team games. Empires 4... $63 damage? Dude, like 63 damage. I can't believe that. I'm trying to figure out the math of that. Does that add up? 15% should have increased him by that much. Something else was going on there. Did I get the numbers right? He was 35 plus 23. So 7 is from chemistry. So it's 42. Wait, sorry, no, it's more than that. 28, right? Rather, right? So it's... Was it 35? I can't remember now off the top of my head. It was huge. It was freaking huge. I probably mismathed it in some way. Trade players between teams? Whoa, wait, what? Okay, so funny thing, I kind of liked Marika's comp for the... for a team tournament, right? So if those don't know, Marika, Wam and QT, she ran like that team format, but like in the group stage, you circulate teammates. I really like that, actually. Because otherwise, like, I mean, what have we got for the team tournament coming? We've got things like Marine Lord versus Beastie, which is like, okay. Maybe it doesn't translate, we'll see, but I think it will. I think 2v2s are close enough to 1v1s that it won't change too much. So, with that in mind, we have another series. So, next series is Liu Tao B versus Bohemian Bros. Let me get that one. Oop. Another best of 3. This is lower bracket elimination series. Oh, and I just got news in. Apparently on Wednesday at 15 GMT, there will be a $120 show match between Vietnam and North America. The North American squad is going to have Puppy Paw, Wham, Jigglypuff, and Mr. Munch. I will try to catch that. I cannot absolutely promise I'll be able to catch that because I've got this tech conference that I'm hosting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It might be finished by then. If it's not, we'll play catch up and cast them a little bit later. So one way or the other, those will get cast on this channel. If people swap teams, wouldn't there be a situation for one player to purposely throw a game? That's the tricky part. So like you have to get a bit creative with the bracket to make every game matter, right? But like what you just described there is an issue not just in team games. It's an issue that exists in all kinds of like formatting, right? Like when you have these round robin group phases, you can always get that situation. I've seen it in Dota 2 so many times. They're not throwing the game, they're just not trying as hard as they could. One interesting way I've seen it done, which is kind of cool, is like letting the top ranked player, like team, choose their opponent, sort of thing, and then working down. One sec, guys. Just got something to quickly check as we're getting ready for this game. I'll switch it over. It's gonna be quickly typing something out in the background. Oh, and I need to update all the deets, don't I? So we will reset the score and turn off the double overlay. Oops. Yeah, like your challenge as a tournament organizer is to try and create formats where every game matters, full stop. And that can be through different ways, right? That can be like, so I had a league format that I wanted to run, which was going to be basically across a month, you'd have X number of players. I think I was going to settle on 16, and you'd have 16 players. And across that month, they'd openly schedule their games, and they would play every single player towards the end. And the way that it mattered is like the bottom 2 or 4 would be eliminated and replaced. But the thing is like your prize pool payout would depend on your overall wins, right? Like your overall ranking. So obviously, you know, 7th versus 8th would matter. Another way you can do it is like individual series paying, right? So you can take a prize pool and disperse it across all the series so that, you know, everyone can actually earn like a kind of balanced amount. On Bellular news about Age in general as a franchise, would love your take on it. They compare how they have managed the franchise in contrast to Halo, for example. And what? Say good things or bad things? Because here's the thing. There are good things, but there's also, like, Halo has had a lot of love and TLC from Microsoft. They've had so much money thrown at them, it's stupid. And the numbers don't actually make sense, is what I will say. For example, Halo Worlds is white label produced, which, what that means, by the way, if those wondering, is that means that Microsoft pays a company to run them. Right? So the way white label works is you don't take a loss doing white label unless you're insane or like you have some weird upside you're thinking about. You will quote all your costs plus your like what you take to make a profit. And I'm pretty sure Halo Worlds saw comparative viewership to Rebel World LoL, if not worse. So they spent $1 million plus enabling Worlds for Halo, but for Age of, the contribution is the prize pool, right? So Red Bull spent the rest of the money. That's kind of wild, right? So yeah, I don't know. I've said this before that I'd love to see Microsoft be more involved in like the maybe running a tournament themselves sort of thing. I think it would be really cool. Like having a world champs type thing. But I guess Red Bull's just kind of filled that role for them anyway. It's nuanced if you would believe it. I could believe it. Halo's in a weird one. I haven't checked the numbers recently, so like, you know, I can't comment exactly on the numbers, but I remember when I last looked at the numbers, it was kind of oof. So Halo Infinite, let's have a look. Their peak viewers for their Grand Champs on October 7th was 86,000. The average viewers 81,000. So I'd have to get like the specific numbers, but I'm assuming they had a comparative viewership full stop to Rebel World LoL. Pretty wild. And that's no shade at like World's Edge, or you know, the team works on Age of. It's different budgeting. I guess, like, I don't know, maybe we'll do like a react video to that. I don't know if people will care. but I could probably break it all down for you guys in detail. Like, Halo is pretty much treated as a legacy esports title, right? It's kind of like when people are arguing, why does StarCraft get to be at Esports World Cup and not Age of Empires 2, right? And the reason is, even if Age of Empires 2 was bigger, it's the credence of the name, right? Like, Age of Empires is known by a lot of people, but StarCraft is seen as the pinnacle of esports. So StarCraft gets to be there. Because what Esports World Cup wants are the leaders in every single genre, and then the biggest players in esports. All right, we should get into this, though, because things are happening. 4 minutes on a giant map, and here the HRE are piling into your base. What a familiar sight. I've never seen this before. These dirty boys are at it again. One and all, welcome back to Age of Empires 4 Actions, the $1,000 4v4 tournament here. We've got a full Chinese stack going up against a full Czech stack. Not something you say every day, and also a familiar sight here, actually. You guys might be familiar with BLB from Team Devils. I didn't actually realize he was Czech. I thought actually Devils was like a full NA stack. So really cool one here. For those that don't know what this tournament is, it's a $1,000 tournament organized by Clearman, one of the Vietnamese casters and hosts. He's brought together a bunch of teams. You're able to have double nationality in your team, as in you can have 2 different nationalities make it up. But funnily enough, we have a full Czech stack. We have a full Chinese stack. We have a lot of full stacks. We even have like a full Polish stack, which was impressive considering 2 of their players rank in like the top 100. Things you just don't know. What I was a bit bummed out about with this tournament, by the way, is the fact that there wasn't a German stack. Because I think if you were to take the average ELOs, Germany has like one of the highest, right? Most definitely. Do you know that KP was sponsored by Red Bull? I'm not, mate. Otherwise, you'd probably see a Red Bull icon everywhere. Would love to be. Actually really rate the brand highly. But no. You were long ago. Huh? Well, professional heckler is being a professional heckler, just maybe not good at it. Your fridge and whatnot? Dude, I've never had a fridge. I think you're getting me and Drongo mixed up, which I guess to someone who's really like detached from accents, I could understand the confusion between an English and Australian accent. But like, I didn't have a mini fridge. Drongo did though. You guys know that you legally can't buy those, by the way. People who have them that aren't athletes bought them on the secondary market. Fun little facts. Anyway, we are on Mongolian Heights. We have got the walls going up. The U's in pretty good position so far, right? They got the good harassment in from Lao Tang on the HRE. They've got fishing set up by the Japanese player over here. And then they've also got fishing set up by the IBIT player. Now, we've actually seen fishing feel underwhelming in this map. So don't write the Czech boys off as dead, because there's been plenty of circumstances where just TC booming is more valuable. If this was deep water fish, you could argue fishing is worth it. But with the shoreline, it's debatable. I find shoreline works a lot more if you're playing around a specific timing. What Devils means then? I haven't got a clue. BLB means... Wait, does it really? I'm going to check that, because I work with a Czech influencer. But yeah, kind of interesting to see Byzantines coming out, actually. Wait, is this the first time we've had Byzantines in this tournament? I think there was one other game of them. It's kind of funny how OP they are in 1v1s, but how kind of underwhelming they are in team games, right? In team games, you want Cav Civs. I think of the non-Cav Civs, English has been the most consistently appearing one because they're just a lot safer to play 2TC. And they also can provide that king to provide the healing. The weird part in this game to me is that Till Lindemann did not do that. He went for the Council Hall, and I think I've been quite vocal about my opinions with the Council Hall. I don't rate it at all in team games. I think it's a wasted investment. You know, the reality is when you've got allies that have cavalry, building the king allows you to help them because the king can heal them. Meanwhile, Lombos is kind of more selfish, but you don't really want to build Lombos, right? You just want to go 2TC, hunker down. And I would say, in terms of defensive formatting, Abbey of Kings gives you a lot more than Council Hall. Because yes, you can rush castle and get crossbows out quickly, but in fairness, if you go for an Abbey of Kings and you play into a few early spears, you can cycle them in and out to heal with the Abbey of Kings. Wait, we have trade? Oh my god. What? Oh, dude. The French player is trading pre-10 minutes. This is very unusual, folks. Typically, the French player does this around 15 minutes when the game has passed the early phase where their knights are truly impactful. But these guys have legit just walled up and straight on gone for it. That's crazy. What's crazier as well is, like, why did he choose the House of Wisdom over the neutral trade post? I guess he doesn't want to reveal that he's trading. And if you go here, it does have a risk. Because the thing is, they've walled all the passes. So, like, now you could trade with impunity. Right? Like, BLB has one knight over here, and I believe that's the only thing from their team. Yeah, like, they haven't even scouted out all the bases yet. Oh, but he just scouted the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, the problem is he doesn't have a knight anymore. One more shot. And the scout sure as hell isn't going to kill anything. Still wondering about the blue name? Yeah, I'm not sure. In before I'm showing things that should be censored on screen. And wait, we have mirrored trade. BLB's doing the same. But I'm pretty sure BLB's is reactionary, right? Yeah, he hasn't set up traders yet. QF in the meantime, just stand for quick force here because he's got the numbers. He's able to brute force in. Good cycle charge initially coming in from purple and good return fire there from BLB. He will have the defender's advantage, which means purple's going to have to back up. In the meantime, on the west side, we've got pressure from Dakin. That's kind of different, actually. Desert Raiders plus the Horseman. We've typically just been seeing Desert Raider spam. Just covering all the bases in case. And this diving could be big. Nagrise trying to rush up the outpost defense. A bit of a miss micro. There's Orange. Unnecessarily diving instead of targeting down the nearby villages. Some will be able to garrison. Others are going to end up sacrifice, though. And able to also intercept the prelates. So, good dive here. Orange has enough troops left here that he'll block the return of relics, but he also gets some eco kills on top of it, which is really important at this stage. You can already see how much blue is suffering at 32 villages only. Oof. So what is the play out of this hole right now for the East Side team? We've got King's Pass coming in, so the typical grade from the English. Byzantines already played 2 TC. They might honestly need a third. You're going to need to rush in on blue, so pretty much BLB has to carry the entire team. They'll eventually help him out, but like, who's going to help now is the bigger issue I see. And this is your atypical French game, right? Where I think we've seen a lot of teams try to overload their French player to carry as much as they can. And he's getting punished for it. No reaction from BLB there. Villagers go down. He's down to 36 economy in this game. He has the same military as the purple French player, but 20 less economy. God, this is getting ugly. Also, wasted effort here, right? He's got about 8 knights chasing after 2 knights. That difference is opening the floodgate for this second wave to come in and hit his true economy. Dream behind this. About to complete the age up. Should be able to at least do it before the purple knights find him, but the problem I'm seeing is we talked about this whole idea, the French player carrying the baton in the early game. Right now, that baton has been snatched off of him, and he's being clubbed around the face with it. Must be some ping issue. BLB's a solid player. I think he's just distracted, guys. Like, the size of this game, the things that are going on, he's getting outplayed. There's a risk that they could be playing on the Indian server, which I'm really hoping they aren't, because that is a thing that all of them should know to avoid. But if that's the case, they're all playing with ping, by the way. Because for those that don't know, typically when you've got European players versus Asian players in tournaments, most of them just use American servers as a middle point because the Indian server is absolutely atrocious. I'm hoping that they just all have a lot of ping and they didn't use the Indian server because that would be a nightmare. Orange just does so much work over here. Wait, am I really seeing an HRE player trading? What is this game? Oh no. You know it's going bad when you've just gone in-page, you've got Pastor Swabia, and you still need to build traders. And for good reason, right? He's only got 2 relics. Pretty grim situation. Trade on the other side, by the way. QF is loving life, man. He's up to 16 traders already. Why is the Indian server trash? There aren't that many players from India. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they just basically hired out someone's mother's Windows 98 server to run the servers. I'm like, not many people in India play here. We don't need like high infrastructure. That's fine. So how do you crawl out of this hole as the Bohemian Bros? Well, survival first is key, right? Like, you're going to have to buffer and weather quite the painful storm. Negrecia needs to become a real threat. Yellow needs about another 5 minutes. Blue needs about another game. And green probably needs about 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm sorry. BLB is like, he's a non-factor in this game. If you guys thought Deniskia's game earlier was painful to watch, this is worse. This is so much worse. Because at least in that game, both French players were kind of in a weird position, right? Whereas in this one, you know, the player is booming while also out-aggroing you. What games are popular in India? Garena Free Fire. India is an absolute jackpot for mobile games. So what's probably happening here is they're probably overloading the Age of Empires online servers in India. Wait, that doesn't... Oh, wait. That excuse would only work if the issues only came up recently. Yeah, for those who don't know, the Indian market is mainly mobile gaming. It's huge. Like, Arena Free Fire has something like 150 million players. And really only India plays Garena Free Fire. Onimusha now. I quite like this comp from G. I like the fact that he began with the Mount Samurai, considering what they were up against. Understood that there wasn't really many heavy cav units to address. Like, this is a really cool pivot. Usually, players will just kind of get stuck in their ways, and they know they're meant to build Onimusha, so they do it anyway. What G done in this game is he looked and went, French player kind of just got dumpstered. Doesn't really have anything left. Why would I ever waste time building Onimusha straight away? God, the trickle of troops from yellow as well. This is the pain we talked about with English, when you have to run across the map. It's why I've been a really big fan of this idea that these hunkered down civs, infantry civs, should be in the center. The problem is, if you look at the east side team, they have 3 infantry civs. So, like, they couldn't easily format this, right? Whereas, when you look at the south side team, you can, I think you can semi-control the spawns on Mongolian Heights. It's still a bit wonky, but they have one of their infantry players in the center. Then they have another one that's kind of hybridized. Like, usually it's going to be Cav, though. And on the flanks, they have a Cav civ and a Cav civ. This is such a better formation. Normally 4v4 is all Cav. Not true. A lot of the formats are 3 Cav and then 1 infantry. Because like the premium of infantry pays off eventually. And you can hybridize that, right? You can still go for Cav and then switch over later. For example, China. China will open Lancers and eventually get hand cannoneers and win the game. Because hand cannoneers are good. Right? For the Byzantines, it's meant to be eventually getting Streltsy. Maybe Lombos. English, it's meant to be about getting these chunky men-at-arms that flood non-stop. And hand cannoneers can scale behind that as well. And then for Japan, Japan's actually the coolest. Like I find the dynamics of Japanese in team games one of the most intriguing. They start with Onimusha, and then they pivot to hand cannoneers. They always play the backline though, which is very different to anything you'll see in 1v1s because obviously you have to be your own front line, and Japan always goes Mount Samurai into eventual Onobugisha Samurai, right? So you're pretty much in a team environment playing the absolute opposite units to what you play in a 1v1. Wall-up attempts are not going to work out here. Bohemian Bros, it's just running around, man. It's like these guys are skipping arm day because they can't fight, and they've got so much leg day going on that they're going to be completely disproportionate, right? They're going to have smother me thighs and gamer biceps. Good God. Look at the door here. G looking to play. And that's a very scary position to have your economy for blue. Breaking the wall. Sacred Sites have also been locked in for the Liu Tao squad. Secondary wave coming in. It looks like orange and pink are about to get backstabbed. They may need to consider backing out of this. As the Spearmen do show up from both yellow and green, but the Mad Samurai, they sneak around the side! Onto the backline of Lombos. The reaction a little bit slow here. Till Lindman finally reacting to it with the Spearman pull. The Lombos, we had to dive deeper. Look at that trade with the backline on the Onimusha. Blue also with Elite Knights able to hold, so this is not going to kill them. The Bohemian Bros say no. Meanwhile, Liu Tao says, oh yes, QF now on the way up with the Red Palace. The grandest of knights soon to hit the battlefield. Lao Tang also now with the forward base. Love this. The Raxes and the archery ranges. He's bringing that premium to the fight. We talked about this infantry immobility. Now he's going to have that ability to stab into the center of these two infantry comps, right? And intercept them as they arrive to assist each other. Okay, thank you, Arakan. So, yeah, Zardes is Lindemann, and then KEKW is Mabos. I will nod as if these names are familiar in the 1v1 sphere. I know they do very well in the team games, right? Devils is like always towards the top of the team ranks. Guys, we have the Nightmare coming. I've seen it so many times. Carracks are just so oppressive when you have water control on this map. We at least have a small breakthrough. Some Knights snuck in, but there's a few Knights. I shouldn't laugh, dude. He's had a hard game. This is brutal. When he discovers just how much trade there is back here. Guys, put a number out there. How many trades do you think QF has? The numbers are actually quite easy, guys. Like, there's only 2 people trading in this game. Actually, that's not true. There's a few traders unaccounted for. 70 traders total. 59 of them belong to QF. And then on the other side, I think all of them belong to the BRB. Yeah, 28 traders. Oh, God. Was 28. These French Knights, they haven't really done anything, right? They've just been running around. They've never been able to stop. So nothing really achieved with that. So these 3 players in Imperial Age for the Bohemian Bros, but I'm just still not seeing that present threat. KEKW's trying to convince me, though. I pushed out the Elite Longbows. They have intercepted the forward base of Lao Tang here. Okay, so actually, weirdly enough, BLB is doing a lot. Although he may not be killing economy here, he's given breathing room. This reaction is overly ambitious from Ping. He spent way too much military force here, about a third, chasing down a handful of knights. That being said, we do still have an issue in the center here, right? Although they're starting to get rid of this forward base, we're talking about Carracks that should be able to prevent you. On top of that, there's still a crap ton of pings going on at the back here, where purple keeps shuffling in knights. Oy. Could it be enough? I mean, it's a good start, right? I don't want to mitigate what they've done there. That save from BLB, for a guy who has, like, nothing, he just done a lot with a bum hand, right? He just all-in with 2-8 and somehow got someone to fold jacks. It's pretty impressive. However, what concerns me is the follow-up. Tanegashima Gunsmith is now on the way. Dekin is probably teching as well. Yep, already underway with the Growth Wing. And oh my god, we're going to see it. It rarely comes out, actually, these days. But that is indeed the Imperial Growth Wing, which essentially turns you into kind of a light version of the Abbasids. Remember, you have a worse Golden Age, but this makes it like a better Golden Age, right? It's like having 20% Golden Age instead. So it catches up. You're still behind on other things. You don't have the agriculture tech. You don't have improved processing. But this is kind of like a median ground between your average Ibid player and an Abbasid economy in the late game. Yeah, pretty cool play. Last Knights coming in, Nigris. A little bit surprised he's not playing into Men-at-Arms here, especially into Desert Raiders. Well, Desert Raiders and Spears, which makes it even worse. And he's at least going to trade well here. Weirdly enough, without the biology as well. I'm a bit surprised by that. We have to remember that Dekin doesn't really have much of an army here. A bit gluttonous in his positioning. He's going to be shoved back. In the center, though, it looks like Green has been forced to retreat. Teal's secondary wave has arrived, assisted by Purple. And it feels like they have retained control of the west side of the map, but now forfeiting down the center, and a big wave on the way as QF is sending the rapid response force here. Mass Knights non-stop pumping. Oh boy. And not just any Mass Knights, folks. Those are elite Royal Knights up against the Rangers. Yellow, he's been queuing these up for ages. They completely get caught out of position here. So we'll look to run away, but he's not going to have many left over. In fact, there's a second wave that could just sandwich him right now. So all Rangers are going to go down. And remember, those take a very long time to accrue. The west side, new wave has arrived. Yes, he wins the fight against Orange, but he is helpless in the face of the double team here. The rapid cav response. Pink is in. Wolves aren't going to go up in time. The cannon placements might be able to at least scare here. Scaring is not going to be enough. They need to find a way of doing damage to the enemy economy, because at this rate, they're just going to lose ground. You're seeing it already on the minimap. Where we were before was kind of more towards the center. Now it's all the way back here. These deeper and deeper dives worry me, and QF is once again on it. BLB, the man that they might try to have faith in. You only have faith in someone who's still alive in this world. We're not about to start a BLB religion over here. These Knights are about to creep in again, guys. Wall goes down. Opening comes through. He'll happily welcome it. And of course, there's no Red Palace, so no Arbalest emplacements, no threat against these 364 HP Knights. QF is about to send BLB to the afterlife. Man, he has nothing to work with here. 15 military versus 58. Second wave of Spearman's coming, great, but the reality is these Knights are in. They don't need to slow down for you. And they're not just in on one location, they're in on multiple locations. Yeah, this is why if I play team games, I would rather always be a Cav Civ. You're seeing it, right? And I think that also fits the picture of why Japan is so good in team environments. Is because they get a ranged and a melee unit in Cav, right? Most Civs only get a melee unit. Not only that, but they also get the Uma Bannerman, which buffs both of them. And I've already talked about why Uma Bannerman's, like, the Bannerman effects are actually quite wild when you think about them, especially in Cav, because every other Civ almost in the game, their Unitech only gives them health. This isn't even Unitech. This is just something you get by building a Bannerman, by naturally scaling your TCs. So you're essentially getting Elite Army Tactics, if you think about it, right? Elite Army Tactics is 20%, this is 15%. It's close enough, especially when you add in the fact that you get an extra melee tech level. And then, of course, Incendiary Arrows on top of that. Yeah, you can see the picture I'm painting here. This comp is sick. Vile, even, I might say. Oh, this is looking nasty. Knights catching everything that BLB has been building up. Just a few of them baiting him away, while the rest harvest the organs of these traders. Again, now with the diving deep, I think this time he's going to look to shuffle to that backline economy. There's just not really much there for Blue to defend with. Torches are out to try and take down the outpost, but difficult with that extra firearm. Remember, 8 of the damage being removed through 20 torch. And what could they have done different in this game? I think for the Bohemian Bros, the really big tricky part is that BLB, he kind of got thrown under a bus. He had too much to do on his own, too much greed from the east side, right? You can't really often get away with 3 players greeding. Usually it's like 2 players have to aggro, 2 can greed. Sometimes it has to be 1 greeding. Depends on if you're going for a timing attack, but these guys built 2 TC on the Biz, 3 TC on the English, and fast imp on the HRE. What was BLB ever meant to do with this? He might be high ranked on the team ladder, but even the best have their limitations. And his were truly stretched thin. Looks like they're just getting ready to process and GG it out. There we go. The surrender comes over. So game 1 going to the Chinese boys. Hopefully the Bohemians learn from this and look for aggro, because this type of unparalleled greed is not going to get by a talented team like Liu Tao. Whoo-wee. Yeah, that was unfettered greed. Trying to think what I'd call that one for the upload. Not sure if it's uploadable, maybe. Cock versus Sock. Cock versus Sock. The two parallels. No, not parallels. What's the word? Not parallels of playing French. Trying to think of a nice word that works there. The two, like, because I think the focus is on the different French styles, right? Probably two French players, completely different plans. Something like that. France. I'm trying to think what I call that. Two France. My brain today. Picks. Two French picks played completely opposite. Differently. Opposites indicates the wrong thing in your brain. There we go. Yeah, that works. All right, guys. So that's only game one, though. Let me get the second ready, and we'll see if the Bohemian Bros can make a comeback. Whoop, whoop. So let me go to his data. Did I miss anything in chat, by the way? Because I kind of moved on quickly from the Halo talk. It's every esports community's dream to have the publisher organize their event themselves. Remember the peak of TI? Yeah, and now, like, look at it. I mean, PGL does great, right? Like, credit to them. But it's a shame that it had to come towards PGL doing all the stuff instead of Valve keeping responsibility. When they realized they could just make more money. Like, I think this is the sad reality of a lot of esports scenes that really frustrates me, is that the devs have realized that they can just pocket all the money without putting in any of the effort in when it comes to running an esports scene. Because there's other people who are burning themselves doing it, right? They're wearing themselves thin. They are, like, over-exhausting their resources. They are barely turning a profit in some cases. And the biggest benefactor at the end of the day always ends up being the publisher developer. But there are a lot of publisher and developers that don't really pay a valid amount into making those scenes happen. And that does depress me a little bit about esports. You know, you could argue we shouldn't have to be reliant on the publishers or whatever, but, like, if they're benefiting that much, why shouldn't they be ponying up to the people who are making it all possible, right? So I always loved this idea of just having almost like a rev share model. Like, imagine a big competitive game came out and they gave 1% rev share to 20 top teams. Imagine how incentivized those teams would be to create content around it, to build it into something real, something big, right? It's kind of crazy when you realize that element of esports is that the biggest, like, the people who benefit the most are quite often putting in the least. A little bit of a depressing note, but I hope eventually we're going to get developers that learn, evolve, do more. Because some do, right? Like, you know, Riot runs the whole ecosystem. I'm not saying I want these people to take complete control, and you could argue that it stops the PGLs, ESLs, and whatever else, Red Bulls, of being able to achieve that top title, that paramount title of world champs. But, like, you could collab with them. You could deeply collab with them where it's like, if you're going to get that much benefit from it, half-half, right? Imagine if, like, around Red Bull Wololo, Microsoft organized, like, a battle pass. Let's say they went battle passes, right? Like, I'm using an extreme example, but let's say that happened tomorrow. We had skins in whatever the games, AoE2, AoE4, Age of Myth. And, like, they were like, okay, we're going to give you 3 mil towards whatever it costs because we know on this battle pass we can make 20 mil. Microsoft an exception, at least with AoE? In what way? What do you mean by that, Feeble? Microsoft don't control things. They invest in it, but, like, not dramatically. What I mean by that is, like, if you want to make a LAN happen... Okay, so, like, this isn't even shade at Microsoft because what they do is a model that's done by other people. So, like, Dota 2 have a LAN in a in a stadium, right? And it's a Valve official event. What that means is Valve is paid half the prize pool. Microsoft pays the full prize pool, but that's the only thing they pay. So like that might sound like it's better than what Valve does, but keep in mind the scales at work there. So Valve, that might be like a $250,000 or $500,000 that they're paying, whereas like Microsoft, it'll be like $250,000 for Rebel or whatnot, and it's still good. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to discredit it's good, but my point is like when you're the biggest benefactor of the upside, right? It's crazy, and not just target Microsoft. I think in general there are a lot of scenes where, for how much the developer benefits from the esports, what they put in is kind of wild. And yes, these are BO3s. Because like what you guys need to realize, you guys know why esports came around originally, right? You know why esports bloated up the way it did, right? Do you know what it was all about? It wasn't about, oh my god, we love the competitive spirit. It was marketing. In fact, if you look at mobile game esports scenes, they're still treated that way to this day. They're the truest form of like why esports originally bloated like it did. And that's not to say that the people who first created esports were concerned about marketing. They were concerned about like finding the best and doing all these things around it. But from a development perspective, why it got back so much is that it was marketing. It's very affordable marketing. It's actually very cost-efficient marketing. Esports, like gaming in general, but esports especially, like can be one of the most beneficial like marketing tools for the game devs and also for brand exposures. Sales is a little bit more tumultuous. Like something that people have learned over time is like esports doesn't really convert to sales the same way that like just doing raw influencer deals do. And that's something we need to explore deeply as a community, as like as an ecosystem, right? Like, I'll put it this way, right? Like, how many of you guys watch EGC's tournaments every time they're up? How many of you subscribe? Or how many of you like watch me? And this isn't, I'm not trying to shame you into spending, right? But like, it's more to open your eyes to like the wider sphere of gaming and how hard it is to get people to open their wallet. Like, how many of you guys watch me for 20 hours plus a week, but don't even subscribe? Right? Once again, like, this isn't to shame you. It's to wake up to the fact that like the wider gaming industry, it's not just you, it's so many people in the gaming industry. Like, you're an esports organizer, you run a tournament, you can't charge for that tournament. It's not enough that you ran the tournament. You can't treat it like getting a license for the boxing match, right? You would have to come up with some extra behind-the-scenes level of like content to provide for people to watch. Like I said, once again, this was not to shame anyone. I just want to like clarify that. I hope that wasn't clear. That was clear, rather. Yeah, for real though, guys. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should do a podcast on this, but I think it is really hard to get people to like open their wallet and invest in esports scenes. Not just from an investor standpoint, from a viewer standpoint. Shout out to all you cuties who do watch. I appreciate it. It helps a lot tremendously. But there's definitely like an interesting discussion I think that I should maybe start leaning into more around the wider esports scene. There's a lot of things broken in our ecosystem that I'd love to see fixed. One thing that I'd love to see fixed is team games, baby. We've had so much entertainment value out of these tournament games, and yet so often it feels like team is underrated and the underperforming element in the esports plans for RTSs. But this series has already had an interesting opening, actually. I love the fact we had two absolute opposites when it came to the French players, BLB and QF. Are they going to do it again? Are we going to get something just as drastic? And let me flip that score around to us just to remind people, it is not the Bohemian Bros, the Czech stack, that has the lead here. It's Liu Tao, the full Chinese stack, that's already on match point. Okay, so did we change anything here? We did. Right? Yeah, so it's Abasses instead of English for yellow. And now it's English instead of HRE for blue. I do prefer their infantry strat on this map. Last time, they picked an infantry strat on a big map. Now, Dry Arabia, all the maps are big, but the difference is in the way that you spawn. So if you look at the map, you can see that green, for example, is very close to pink. He can try to rush him with Byzantine. Yellow is very close to purple, which is unfortunate because yellow is not going to rush him. I do think the perfect formation would have been to have had green here and yellow here. Because red at the back makes sense as a cav sieve, he can always arrive. And the reason you want yellow at the back is because, believe it or not, guys, Abbassids are also a cav sieve. If they can get online, though. Lombo's already arriving to be a nuisance here. Lao Tang did go for the council hall play. The Grease on the other side also went Council, but he's playing from central position. However, this is very intriguing. They're doing a double Lombo strat into G. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's tricky, right? Because when you play Japanese, you only think about one thing, that's going fast castle. However, G done a good job of prepping for this. He knew it was going to be a risk, and he already has double outpost, which is forcing a very early ram timing out of this double all-in. Yeah, make no mistake about it, folks. This is going to be a quick game, one way or the other, because when you go for this type of play, you're so heavily invested in ending the game fast. If this misses, or you spend too long on one player, these two will come into the picture, and they will dominate the game. I'm play himself. Kind of an awkward position here. Usually you want to have a matchup where you can build Desert Raiders, but unfortunately, because of the fact that it's a triple infantry strat, it kind of feels like they intentionally built this way to counter the Iobid pick. Then again, by having a Bassus, you eventually give value to Ibods anyway. Outpost being torched here. Ping. I'm surprised he even tried to garrison that. He's going to run for the high heels. Gets out of range just in time here. Did gather a decent amount of gold, so we'll have enough for a tech up, but not much beyond, and now he's going to shuffle away again. So, well played. That was elegantly done. G dodges losing any villagers. He was waiting to look for the moment where blue and green weren't paying attention. Yeah, and diving the TC is just not on the agenda. Not with just Lombos here. They don't have enough for that just yet. It just wouldn't be worth it, right? Like, your opponent has 30 villagers at this stage. You'd throw away your whole army to half his economy. It sounds really good on paper, but in the grand scheme of things, you'd have invested heavily into double army and lost both of them. Flown Gate now on the way. Rax being prepped as well, so we are going to be seeing Samurai here. Pretty smart from G. He doesn't have gold access now. I mean, he could actually sneak on the backside. The problem is these players are going to patrol, right? So what he's trying to do is use the very limited resources he has to get max value. The only issue is, like, obviously some of that is spent on the hardened status and then the veterancy. But overall, like, he should be able to marketplace and then efficiently build an army because he can just trade a few times. Whereas if you went for the Mounted Samurai, you'd be spending over 100 gold per. The only tricky part is that you are slow moving, so Lombos will be able to pick away at you. Speaking of which, Lombos will draw the first blood on Pink's villagers here. Pressure's starting to stack up. That's 2 dead. Soon to be a 3rd. He's going to look to move away. Did he get the Urashira drop just in time there? So the Rax was pre-rallied. Does get it in before it be a problem. And all of a sudden, some hesitation there. The Ram not already in position to attack onto the Rax is the problem here. Elsewhere, we have got return pressure as Purple is now stacking up the Rams for a push into Yellow's base. Elsewhere, we also have pressure from Orange. Love the fact that he's not trying to save Pink. He's doing it indirectly. He understands that these guys are all in, so attacking them here is a much harder fight than just going after their economy. Samurai jumping out really early here. A little bit surprising considering he doesn't have the veterancy. These are just hardened Samurai, folks. What? I mean, I get waiting until you have enough Samurai to justify, but I'm not sure about the diving out aspect here. He doesn't have Undermesh. He's lucky his opponent doesn't have the +1 damage. However, he did just clear the Limitane, and the Horseman wrap back around. Okay, the picture has been painted, and these boys deal it in Van Goghs. What a 1-2 maneuver there. That was sick. So he throws away the Samurai to get rid of a few of the Limitane and bait them in. Horseman wrap around. The Lombo count has now been reduced. However, there are still 2 Courier Siphons alive. The Float Gate is already down. That means Rax next on the hidden list. Rally point also a little bit ugly. A little bit tricky here. There's still a decent number of Limitane. The Horseman could dive in to protect. Villagers with a pull. Goes through the repair, but not good enough. The Courier Siphons do it. Urashira Rax down, Floating Gate down, meaning that G is pretty handicapped, although being in age 3. Doesn't really feel like it here. The good news, at least, is everyone else is still in age 2. The bad news is that Japan doesn't play well without this Floating Gate buffer. So maybe they can get some return fire that makes it worthwhile, because QF, he wins the fight against Red! The trade out is painful. Lao Tang has to throw away the Lombos, but now if he's able to eviscerate Yellow's Archer count, it'll be worth it. Has got the Undermesh. Steel Dara is there for Yellow as well, though. The Purple Rams doing more and more damage. The TC has been taken out. Lindemann is, of course, at 50 villages. That can't be taken away from him easily. But he's now at 1 TC. And he did go for an Eco Wing play. Not just that, Knights are roaming around the back. So after getting that win against BLB, too familiar of a sight in this series, by the way, QF just keeps dominating BLB in these French mirror matchups. He now has the extra firepower to start denying the lucrative food sources near BLB's base. Everybody's got Camel Archer, so maybe a little bit harder for Teal to rush these fights. Southside things have really slowed down. Dekin has a hell of a lot of horsemen pumping. We haven't got repair coming through on the floating gate wall, so okay, sorry, he's got one villager there. So it's going to be a slow repair. He understands that it's going to take a long time, but he can't afford to waste additional resources rushing it. Nice once again in. The Camel Archers are starting to scale, guys. So like this isn't over. If Yellow can get up to say 8, 9 Camel Archers, things can look good. The tough part is the matchup here is English and French versus Abbasid and French. You'd think that would favor Abbasid and French, but the Camel Archer detail doesn't really matter against mass Lombos. And Lombos have higher pen than standard archers. They start with 1 extra damage, right? So even when they're up against French Knights, which are meant to counter them, they do more damage than average archers. So that dynamic in mind, it kind of means that the Abbasid player, like his only choice is to try and dive the Lombos. And if Teal has enough Knights, that's never going to happen. And yes, this is playing like 2v2s, which makes sense if you think about it. Like both sides' flanking players are attacking. What's going to be interesting is at one point, things are going to loosen up a bit, and then you'll see one of the cavalry players play to the other flank. That's statistically more likely to be the east side team because they have double cav, whereas the west side team is playing triple archer. Green. This is looking ugly. He had to go 2 TC after the losses. I mean, Pink is still kind of pressed into the ground, but look at the difference now. Pink ahead by 7 villages. Rax is also being prepped, and this time it is going to be the full-fledged veteran samurai. So all of a sudden, you find yourself in a position where blue and green may need to start contemplating a tech play. Wondering, where is the rest of Teal's Knights? Because the numbers aren't here. Oh my god, he found him. Backside, Lindemann. Village is no longer safe here. And this could turn into a sandwich. Just enough Knights in the front line to hold this back. Lombo's trading out. The Knights are on the way quickly to this fight. A brisk pace around the back. An arrival just in time to claim the title. The villagers are going to be intercepted trying to run home. Huge massacre here. Archer count can now also get cleaned up. I mean, the only reason they're not right now is because so many villagers are being targeted instead. A lot of them do at least survive, but heavily injured. The Lombos now recommit, and there's nowhere for Yellow to go here. BLB doesn't have any assistance to offer. He's down to 5 military. People asking if BLB is drunk before this. I think he's going to have to be drunk after this because I'd need a few doubles to make me forget about this experience because this is a beatdown. It's crazy when you look at the military to think just how dominant the position of China is. But really, they are in control. It's military quality as well, right? Like archers, Lombos, Limitane, compared to Knights, now Samurai and Lombos. Big difference maker. Now, of course, QF did throw away quite a few Knights there, but with the numbers being so low at this stage, it feels very difficult for Yellow to recover. Southside is their only hope. They need this kill quick on Pink. Still, he basically has replaced the Yorishiro by just spamming Raxes. That's 14. Make it 15 samurais sitting in the TC. If they even try to approach this. It's tough. I think what the plan here was for green and blue to keep harassing and then probably green techs while they keep the pressure up. But the problem that occurred is that dive from the Horseman earlier. It cost green way too much. He had to transition into 2 TC when he should have been transitioning to Castle Age. So now they're kind of just stuck in a rut here. And the longer they do this, the more it benefits Ji. Ji, who shall not be tamed. Able to hold on his own now. Dekin getting ready for Age Free himself. It's already on the way. Growth Wing in 10 seconds. Look at the stockpile of resources. This dive is meant to break Japan. Might not be able to do so. Love the micro G. He's not wasting villagers garrisoning this. He just keeps shuffling the samurai in and out to force a retreat, to buy the time to get the assistance. And it's now on the way. Orange with Age 3 should be looking to get into Camel Lancers next. In the meantime, we have got a Horseman Dive rippling into the base of the English here. No good reaction coming through, because remember, this is the worst Civ to try and counter Horsemen with villagers. Any other Civ, Shiv's out fine. But against Horsemen with English, you do range shots, which means you're only hitting for half damage. Yeah, pretty painful. And now he's going to keep rippling, because he's actually shuffling across to Red's trade, which is in its infancy right now. Teal, meanwhile, is also looking to cause double pain for BLB. Still outnumbering him. Lombo mass is big. We're up to 46 for blue. However, there's a problem. Oh no. Samurai, they need to bait this back. You want to go in and out. The moment you retreat, you can bait them in range to the Mango. Instead, though, he keeps A-clicking it. They just want to chase him all the way home. He knows eventually the Mango will be able to reach him here. Shots coming in onto the spears instead. Samurai do have the Adachi tech, folks. They hit incredibly hard against this infantry comp. North side, I don't even know what we're looking at him anymore. Yellow is pretty much done. This dive in should wipe his economy. There's nothing left to defend him here. He's pulled his military all the way back. He had to on the west side. But the Knights now coming in with a Lombo assist. This time, BLB may be a little bit too late to keep his teammate alive. Southside Samurai are at least finning. The Mangonel still chasing them. We're almost at the base. Big wallop coming in on the Limitane. North side. Looks like Yellow actually is going to get stay of execution. BLB, through his full body, his full might behind this, it's enough to convince them to leave. But the Rams got the space. Lao Tang taking out the only TC that Yellow has left. Oh boy, oh boy. And you know, before this, the idea of being able to keep up was on the basis of mirroring the economy. Now that can no longer happen, so they need to strike back fast or they're going to strike out. Southside is already looking ugly though. Mango's moving in. The Samurai have marched all the way across to Constantinople. And it's going to be a Constantinople in this one, because he cannot stand his ground at all. Lombo's chased away. The GG comes out. And it is going to be a swift exit for the Bohemian Bros. The Eastern stacks cannot be stopped. East is rising up, man. They are fierce and they are scary. There's a growing risk that quite quickly this is going to turn into a full Asian team tournament with no European representation to speak of. Crazy to see. Love to see it as well, though. It's so refreshing to see some new names dominating instead of it just being the atypical. Sure, we haven't had the Marines or BCs playing in this, but we've had some known names. Your battle teams coming on, your Bs as well. And time again, it's Asia coming out on top. Whew. GG. What do we call that one? That was crazy. Probably something to do with Japan, right? You don't just fast castle? You don't just fast castle in team games. Base. Landmark. Castle Rush Punishment, show destroyed, Japanese landmark, and racks on fire. Yeah. From Kyoto to Constantinople. Oh dear. 1 second. Am I being bumped onto something in the background? I think so. Let me just double check. Alright, so what we can do now, guys, we can do team games are done, so we can do 1v1s. So, yeah, the team games will resume 28th, is my understanding. But, like I said, guys, What we'll look to do is on the is it Wednesday? So that'll be 23rd. There is going to be a show match which has been organized by Clearman between Vietnam and North America, and we'll look to cast that. I need to confirm the schedule, the timing. Apparently, it's 15 GMT start. We might look to cast it on a delay. It depends on whether my tech conference for the day is done, because I've got to host that. But I should have confirmation on that. I mean, I'm assuming I'm still hosting it. They literally, like, I haven't had any messages through about it. So confirming that now. Maybe we're not even hosting it, and then we can definitely do it. But I also do like money, so hopefully I am hosting it. Hopefully. One second. Okay, sorry. Some productive responses. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so let's have a look in game and see who's playing. Who's Fish? That Pleco? From Pleco. Baltoon? Baltoon's Conk 2. Do you want to say it to his face? Bro. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going to have to organize a BO5 between you and Baltoon now. How dare you insult my Baltu baby? Let's see. Who's Anatan against? I don't mind if I do. Let me just sink my teeth into that tasty morsel. I lose, I can confidently say that. I like how, like, confidently say that now. Like, there's been some sort of realization here. You're like, I am not the god I thought I was. Pepe hands. Okay. Let's get the scene ready. So we need to toggle some things off. And then toggle some things on. And then toggle some more things off. I really should just set up a team scene at this point, to be honest. Oh, the laziness. I mean, in fairness, we weren't really doing content recently that really required it, right? Yeah. Dude, my wrist feels really weird at the moment. Don't know why. Oh, yikes. My partner's MOT failed, so apparently that's £400 we now got to find. Cars. Goddamn cars. Baltoon is fake Baltoon. Real Baltoon lost it all in blackjack. Nani? No, real Baltoon is still playing AoE 1. Wait, you always confuse Voldemort and Anatand? Huh? How do you even arrive at that confusion? I'm not doing it to shame you, but I am curious. How? Rogan? They don't look alike. They don't sound alike. Their names aren't that close. Anachad and Voldemort. Yeah. One got signed to a team, the other can't. One coaches, the other doesn't. Is there anything else I'm missing? Anumon and Valditant. Dude, I'm like, yeah, we just need them to rename themselves to each other. They're both the new names that are supposed to eventually crack the top 10 or something. Voldemort, I don't mean this in a mean way. Like, he does well, but Voldemort is not an Anatan's level. And I think he'll be fine with me saying that. He's not close to Anatan's level yet. Voldemort is like aiming to make top 16. Anatan's aiming to make top 8. That's a big difference. Right, like, I don't know. I'd have to get all the names. Maybe I should do like a power rankings of players. Ooh, that's kind of cool. But I think Voldemort has like is he top 16 now? I think he's top 20. It's tough because the list has thinned in a weird way. Like, you have people like Zertan leaving. You got people like Vortex coming back. I don't know what's happened with Lucifron, by the way. Lucifron in particular has been kind of a question mark as to what... Like, he didn't commit to Myth, although there's rumors that he trained Vortex. But, like, he's also just been overall AWOL. So I don't know if he's just reached a point in his life where he's like, okay, I'm kind of just done with playing competitive RTSs. Because Stormgate, currently for people trying to make a living, isn't looking promising in its current state, right? It's questionable what's going to happen there. So, like, not really where you want to maybe bank your future, unless it's part-time? Like, I'd understand if he was at least streaming it. That could maybe make sense. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Top tier list? Oh, dude, could you imagine the react videos to that? You know what you do? You just put a Marine Lord tier. You're like, Marine Lord is in the Marine Lord tier because he's a Marine Lord. What happened with Stormgate? It's just not been doing great at the moment, which is a shame. I think the game has a lot of potential. It's just, the problem is, like, having potential isn't enough. You have to realize it, right? Because, like, Stormgate, I mean, dude, like, right now it has, I think, 14 people watching on like, Twitch. And if you look at the numbers of a number of players playing, I think Stormgate is currently at 136 people. It's a bit rough to see. Game had a lot of potential. And I've said this many times. The game just wasn't shown off in the right environment. It's shown off too early, and then, like, you can't just invite top players in RTSs that don't actually play the game and expect them to provide you with the content that really does your game justice. That doesn't work, right? Not when you're trying to be a comp first game. It's a shame because I keep referencing the Stormgate Nexus, which Behemoth ran. You had some unknown players, people like that you'd never heard of before, that were actually really talented individuals that made games look really good. Like Percival comes to mind, right? Percival would have beaten at least half the people that were invited to Esports World Cups, like show match, easily. He's prefers late game in the video and watch him prove how he's not for 1 hour. I mean, I've seen the Louis MT Beastie scrims, and you can't blame them ending up in the late game just on Louis. Alright. Alright, let's get underway. One and all, welcome back to AWO for Action. We are in the final day of Season 8 here. That's right, 24 hours from now, just over, and we will finally have launched Season 9. Voldemar and Anatan. Two people who have made it into the top 10, by the way. Like, if I actually check, at the time of recording, I think Anatan, this is his other account, right? Like, it seems like he's given up on getting first place. Beastie's going to finish first again. Meanwhile, Voldemar, I think he's ranked 10th in the world right now. Really impressive and going to be very important if there's any tournaments around the corner that happen to use some sort of seeding for or elo from ladder. But yeah, has to be chuffed with himself. I'm pretty sure that would make Voldemar's best finish if he can hold on to it now. And that's a big if, because this is like, you're trying to be there. You're trying to really just rack up the points and get a solid finish. And out of all the people online at the time that you could run into, you run into this guy, right? Like, Louis or this is kind of a nightmare. Louis you probably dodge because you don't want to play the Indian server as much as you'd love to play some Louis. Yeah, but I'm double checking now. Voldemar, he's down to 13th right now. So, got to be feeling pretty confident about getting that top 10 finish. It would be his personal best. The best before this was Season 5 with a rank 16 for him. Anatan, meanwhile, is definitely going to get his best finish with his main being in second place for Season 8. But yeah, let's talk about the matchup a little bit. We talked about the players. We need to talk about what's happening in this game. We're a few minutes in. China versus Roos. And I expected this outcome. Roos used to be quite content with the idea of playing maybe 2TC and then rushing Castle. It's just not worth it here against China. I actually think you're going to see a lot more players leaning into what Anatan is doing here. In fact, Anatan, when we ran the preseason invitational, I'll say invitational, a preseason 9 tournament, he was doing the Golden Age Castle Stage rush a lot. I think there's something to it. I think it's going to make a return here. The Kremlin 2TC play doesn't really fit as well anymore. I think the pacing's off against some of these civs. And also in general, the TC meta is shifted, right? TCs are a lot more easily punished now. So I quite like the fact that he's just kind of mixing it up a bit and playing for relics that can sometimes be a key objective of China, because China can either play 2TC or fast castle. Wolves attempted to go up here. And has got free scout, so wait, he could actually just indefinitely block this, right? It's kind of crazy that he hasn't pumped a single knight, but that is finally on the way. What is going on over? No, bring the FUD! Bring the FUD! Bring the FUD! Do it! No! No, Anatan, come on! What? You can go there, right? Oh, no. It was so close. Almost the perfect plan. Unfortunately, he will not get his sneak in here, so the walls do go up for Voldemar. Anatan will just try to burn through. Free scouts can do a reasonable amount here, but Voldemar will just pull one villager to be safe. Remember, folks, Voldemar is on Song Dynasty 2 TC, so he's going to inflate fast. He's going to need to, because Anatan's chest just inflated up. He's rearing to go. High Trade House is online. Get your numbers in on what you think this is going to be. Monastery being rushed up by the 2, so he understands the relics are the key objective here. Likely to pull the ones from the furthest away first. Now, there is a risk that this villager could get sniped, folks. Remember, sometimes knights just decide that physics don't make sense, and they slash the air so hard that they slice through it and hit someone away. They're basically the Avatar. They're airbenders. So he might be able to get that. He's trying for it. Instead, he's going to have to settle for just stacking. He has got Horse Archers on the way, though, which will guarantee the break-in. But it looks like Voldemar may have done enough here. He's got pretty much what he needs for a tech up. So he will be able to initiate that. Remember, the Chinese, you can rack it up real fast. Takes no time at all. And High Trade House in the end, 156 gold. So pretty decent actually coming out there. All right, who do you think is going to take this one, guys? 1's for Voldemar, 2's for Anatan. Wall's going to break. He has got exposed resources. He's already shuffling home. The scouts will see this, though. If they see... Yeah, if you see the taxman, you know there's more. You have to be getting suspicious, and I think he's already hunting for it. So we'll say death to taxes, but great choice by Voldemar. That's sick. He pulls the taxman away so the villagers can escape. Remember, with the Imperial Academy, this is a positive play. Because although it's more expensive to replace a taxman than to replace a villager, you don't need to use a TC to replace the taxman. So kind of just puts you further eco ahead. That was really smart by Voldemar. A lot of players would have just panicked there and just allowed it to keep running that way. And as a result, the knights would have been closer to the villagers, but gets the wall up just in time. I'm just getting flashbacks to players saying Voldemar likes his walls. He's showing why in this game. Really good execution. Horse-Archer spam's going to start stacking pretty fast here. I'm wondering how long Anatan plays this comp. It's not a terrible idea when your opponent's going crossbows, right? You could mirror crossbows yourself. Doesn't really benefit you. Horseman's going to be a bit iffy when you don't have any farm set up whatsoever. Looks like we have actually got to pivot into TCs, though. Makes sense, right? You play for the earlier value of the High Trade House into the relics. And then you come back for the TC afterwards when you're in a position to do damage while scaling your own economy, which is exactly what he's trying to do on the backside with the cavalry. This is getting a bit annoying, man. Voldemar is struggling to keep track of this. We'll start to lose a few villagers. Also get idled out. You can see it's just there's nowhere comfortable to go with this spawn right now. Because he never got the re-wall, right? Oh, Horse-Archer's already shuffling across. Dude. He needs this, guys. Like, it's no exaggeration to say if Voldemar can't access these berries, he's dead. Crossbow count. He's getting a few more together, but the reality is, without the food, it's going to become impossible. He just has to rush gather. Villager's going to get targeted down. He did at least have the foresight to prep textiles. So smart choice made there. You can kind of afford that. You can't really afford to lose too many villagers here because of the replacement cost of food, but if it gets you one drop-off to get you a few more crossbows, it could be worth it. I've got a feeling this game could be close to over, though. Second TC up for Anatan. I wonder if he actually even needed this town center. Had he realized how desperate Voldemar is for food, he could have just ended this game by putting all those resources into additional Horse Archers. So tilting right now. Voldemar has got the walls on the back, right? So, like, maybe... Okay, he's going for the mill player. I was going to say maybe you just try to get a re-wall there and build farms. Horse Archer Knight's going to ride in again. So front line has been denied. Backline is still open. He's blocking the walls. This key error, this point right here, is defining the entire outcome of the game. The Horse Archer scouted already. Look at the health bars. This game is genuinely going to be decided by one piece of wall. He gets it back up. However, the Horse Archer can kite you and kill you. And also, there's a knight inside. Like, the best thing you can do right now is send that over. Crossbows are on the way to clear that up. Oh my god, Horse Archer able to pick a few villages here. There's a lot of low HP bars. More knights are on the way to try and break through the wall again. But remember, Anatan, he went very hard into Horse Archers here. So he doesn't have that burn through speed. He does, however, have the food to burn through on free TC. So villager production is ramping up here. He's looking to eclipse Voldemar. Horse Archers now with the dive in over here as well. Voldemar is losing this game. Like, he just doesn't have the reaction to this. Crossbow count has been scaling way too slow. He's at least going to be able to wall this in. So finally a bit of breathing room. Right, that's 2,000 food to put in his bank. But the problem is he's not doing anything on the map, right? So, like, he managed to somehow, by some miracle, get a relic. But now, Anatan should just lock in all 3 sacred sites. Increases his economy, lights a fire underneath Voldemar's ass to get on the map. Pretty much locks control of this game in for Anatan. Because Voldemar's comp isn't that good at coming out blindly. I'll say there's at least going to be set ablaze. Crossbows will be able to force him away. This is so uncomfortable. And Anatan, what are you up to? Could this be a proxy base? No. Maybe. Just the walls. One big, healthy serving of walls. A little bit surprised he didn't actually wall in the sacred site. So the question now is, does Anatan recommit into castle, or does he just rush him? Because I think actually rushing him is quite feasible here. But you want to try to hold your opponent by the long curlies, right? While he's food-starved. If you don't want to be food-starved, though, guys, why don't you take advantage of what's about to pop up in chat, that Protein Works link? Because, guys, if you use my code, you can get an extra 10% off their already crazy discounts. Definitely recommend checking them out. I personally am drinking the Kinder Bueno today. Can highly recommend it. Meal replacements are great, man. It means that I don't have to stop playing to snack. I can quickly just pick it up, swig, then I'm back to APMing. Boom. I just realized we're a few minutes out from live, so I can speed this up a bit. Because we've just got kind of the stroll point. Anatan is in the middle of a transition. We said it was either going to be to play Imp, or you're going to have to switch over into a new unit type. I think he's going to try to play for Imp. He's going to gradually save up while controlling sacred sites and spamming Horse Archers. Because by doing so, your opponent has to come out, right? You can't spam Knights because crossbows beat them. You can't go Horsemen because you don't have farms yet. So like, the most realistic comp is Horse Archers. They're very cost efficient in that regard. 80 food, 40 wood. And guys, if you have 100 Horse Archers, they only have to attack 12.5 times to kill a wall. Sold. Who wants to build 100 Horse Archers? Not that bad when you think about mathematics that way. It takes you, what, about 28 seconds to clear a wall? I mean, you have to build 100 Horse Archers, which ends up being 12,000 resources, but you will kill palisade walls quickly. We won't talk about what happens when they build stone walls. Voldemar, a little bit paranoid, actually, that there might be horsemen coming. It makes sense, right? You have to keep in mind from Voldemar's POV, he sees nothing but what's attacking, right? So, like, it does make sense to assume your opponent's going to switch horsemen when you reveal mass crossbows. No one would expect a psychopath to just build knights and horse archers. Nobody. The Anatan way seems to be the way here. It's almost like he's pre-anticipated that transition, so he's kind of just sticking on the unit comp that he has. Nestabees will eventually counter him out, but Nestabees don't have the breadth, right? None of this has the breadth. They're all slow-moving units, but Nestabees in particular are giant slugs. Yep, you know they're a slug when the camera moves so slowly, you don't get motion sickness. Rax is being prepped. Voldemort is looking to zerg that spear count. Knights to dive in though. STV's got to be careful. Brace is going to be there to block the Knights from getting in on top of them. Horse Archers need to be very, very careful about this approach though. It's going to be a forced retreat. Anatan, he's just going in. Guaranteed now. Farm transition is half complete for Voldemar. I know, it's a rare sight. Voldemar building more than one granary. He's talked about this before, though. He only tends to go only one granary when the spawn is awkward. Otherwise, he's quite happy to lean into multiple. Voldemar should be able to get a decap here. Considering Anatan is going for Imperial Age, it's unlikely he's going to try to block. He has got Boy's Fortitude coming in if he wants to, though, right? So substantial increase there, right? It's essentially an extra 25% health on your Horse Archers. Nothing to turn your nose up at. High Armory now on the way. Look to speed up again. Knights are going to look to break in. The Stonewall's on the way. Oh god, we're going late game. We're going deep into this party. Knights then look to go deep in the economy. Nice wall off in the corner. Voldemar. He's created his own little maze here. Let's at least try to stand ground and make sure there's no Stonewalls going up so the second wave can be stronger for it. Tech up is going to complete here. Voldemar has some catching up to do. Sacred Site win condition has at least been removed, so Anatan will not be able to swiftly get a dub that way. You know what? I think these two could do with that that super weapon they just got created in the mod store. Because I've seen how China Roost late game can get, and it can turn into an absurd meat grinder. However, Anatan, with such a lead into Imperial Age, has a big edge coming. You see it being queued. It's not this. Strikes are great, sure, but the Springalds are more important. The Nest Bees issue can now be removed. So what does Voldemar do here? I think you just have to pseudo, like semi-rush the Great Wall Gatehouse. Building more army and age behind is not going to help you. In fact, it's going to build a bigger gap between you and your opponent. Looks like he agrees. Has stopped producing. Farm count is, what, 36? So decent enough, but really want to reach quickly towards that 45 plus. In fact, we have another granary switch coming in. A little bit split from the rest, but that be the spawn. This man has built so many walls, he doesn't have much else to work with here. How do you deal with knobs without anti-siege if the other player always has them surrounded? Yeah, you just get that super weapon we were talking about. Now, if he has them surrounded, the logic there is meant to be that you can kind of pick him apart, right? Like if he's playing mass spears, you're going to have to out-micro and poke. But like realistically, you're going to go Springles. With the changes coming in Season 9, the dynamic's going to change, where because the AoE is much smaller on the like Mangonels and STBs and whatever, you should have the ability to kind of just out-micro by splitting your archers up into loads of groups, and then you pick apart, say, the Spearmen. Because Spearmen should be the only thing really stopping you from diving with Horsemen. Great Wall Gatehouse now on the way. Sacred Sites have been locked in again, and this time a keep drop from Anatan to ensure it stays that way. Strozzi production is slow though, and if I'm not mistaken, okay, I thought it was trade for a second. I was going to be shaking my head. Oh, big boy Horseman now. 16 damage each. Folks, we are officially approaching the late game. I just love to think that Anatan's mentality on this is like, oh, I would love to just go kill him to end the game, but he picked China. I guess I'll just go Sacred Sites. Yeah. Let me hit the fast forward again. I don't know, I kind of like using the fast forward like this. It's nice to be like a few minutes behind live, just because you can have that dynamic interaction when you have an idle moment. Like, this is clearly going to be an idle moment, right? Anatan needs to prep the Streltsy. Voldemar needs to get all of his techs done. Neither player wants to fight right now. And with 8 minutes on the Sacred Site, neither player should feel pressured to fight yet. Vodamar's army is just going to march up and discover the annoying walls everywhere. Gold could end up becoming a problem for Vodamar if he ever tries to go hand cannoneers. It's a good thing he's not. That would actually kill his economy. Horse Archers now just going in for the trade out against the crossbows. Perfect here. Love that move. Horse Archers, as the game goes on, you don't want them anymore, right? They're worth upgrading initially, but you want to switch Streltsy. So he's trading out his bad range for his opponent's good ranged. Because Vodamar doesn't have the gold access to long-term think about hand cannoneers here. Nor does he have the time. So most crossbows get peeled. Streltsy now mashing behind this, and we have got the Springolds in place with the Bandit Arms. We even have the Knights being bolstered now. Poleaxe is on the way. The Army Tactics did at least just come in for Vodamar, so we'll give him that extra little wallop to swing his purse with. Kind of tricky, though. I mean, he's got the Trebs coming. By the time you do trip down the keep, though, there's going to be a bigger problem. That's going to be the Streltsy, right? Count's already at 27 and increasing. Knight count is also kind of getting scary. You have a lot of spearmen to at least deal with that second detail. But you're seeing him now switching to Palace Guard, right? This is a nightmare. This comp, sure, it deals with the Cav because you have spears, but nothing really deals with the Streltsy. He has at least got the Yuan to gap close in theory. And in fairness, if Anatan front lines with the Streltsy, he's going to have problems, but Knights do come in. The Poleaxe upgrade is there. Biology just ticked in as well, so health just got boosted by an extra 60. Just when he needed it most as well. He clears out most of the spears, able to shove this back, and the Streltsy practically untouched in that engagement. Springolds now able to deal with the Nestor Bees as well, and the follow-up wave. Should essentially just get culled like a herd one by one here. Streltsy standing their ground long enough for the Static Deployment to come in. Knobs have been removed, so we are 5 minutes away from an Antan victory. Chemistry just got queued up as well. He's going to have to reset, but more Knights are now on the way. We have a lot of full production, folks, so any Streltsy losses can quickly be replaced. The keeps are also a problem when you start diving in this area. Remember, he's gone spears, he's gone crossbows. Even with the Elite Army Tactics, you don't actually have that much effective HP. Not for diving anyway. Cannon emplacements also just adding a lot of saturation damage into these fights. And Springolds now able to go in for the Treb kill. Spears are going to get baited onto it, but it looks like Vodamar is unable to hold on here. He's Congo lining. You know my rules, guys. Congo lining. The Congo line of death is something you never want to be doing. Springolds now able to deal with the trebuchets, even with the extra health. Still so easy to dispatch him, and these keeps untouched. I think Vodamar has just reached the point of headbutting the wall. The quality of his army needs to improve, but it's not. It's just crossbow spears, right? He can't go Nestor Beast because of Springolds. You can't beat Roost Springolds because they have extra range. And the count's too high already. And you're in a game where we just mentioned like gold is becoming an issue. He's down to his final 1,000 here. He's only got 1.3k here. And the 4k that was meant to be on his side is being taken away. Add in the fact that you've got 3 Sacred Sites, 4 Relics, and a high trade house on the other side. You're just not competing, right? That's why Anatan has so many hand cannoneers and why Vodamar has none. Yeah, kind of ran its course in the end. A tricky game. I mean, credit to Vodamar for staying alive as long as he did. That wall looked like it was going to end the game. But now the game feels undeniably done. Double Mango moving in. Crossbow spears are stacked up. They're going to have to retreat away. Springolds able to once again shove those trebuchets back. 3 minutes away. Dude, it's so obnoxious when you have to get to this point in the game of Roos. This is what I mean with the fast castle build still being so good, though. He basically prepped for this phase of the game when you think about it. He had an opportunity to end earlier, but he knew if it went this late, he had the gold mass on his side to win. What counts Streltsy? More Streltsy! It's like my answer to every counter question. So, the counter's meant to be mangoes, right? But you can't get mango. The counter in Season 9 should appropriately be Horsemen. Horsemen will struggle a bit more against Streltsy than other hand cannoneers, though, because of the Bardiche attacks. But realistically, we are moving towards the correct direction. The problem with these guys is with the gunpowder attack, they're just too good generically. and Horsemen are not good enough against them. But I think Season 9 is going to help a little bit with that. And the other change, of course, to the Spring Horns means that Roos aren't going to be just protected against Mango play, right? So I think you're actually going to see something a bit more healthy. Roos Horsemen might end up still being a problem, though. We'll just have to wait and see. But I do feel overall, the change with Siege in Season 9 is going to feel like a nerf to Roos. The question mark is whether the Horsemen are now able to pick up the slack. Vodamar's got to pick up the slack ASAP if he wants to stay in this game. Keep drop now coming in, but we are just 2 minutes away from a victory for the Roos. The Belarus at that. Ring the bell here. Burn for attempt on the wall, and those are indeed extra fortified. He did go in for the Unitech. Just so obnoxious. 3.2k HP on a slab of wood. Army is going to react in time. He has to flood through to just try and decap here. It ain't going to be pretty, but it's the only way Voldemar can keep his hopes alive in this game. Streltsy stand their ground as the Mangoes move in. Spear's also just baiting. I love that. He runs them onto the side to block the decap, to force the overcommitment, and to force the end. No doubt about it. Anatan will not be denied. It's only crossbows left. He's trickling troops. I mean, Voldemar, part of the problem is it's taking too long to get his production back into the engagement. But if you're going to push quantity versus quality, you at least need to make sure you have quantity. You have production rates. And that simply doesn't seem to exist here. Streltsy count has been reduced, though. Hold on a second. The quantity versus quality might be coming true because Anatan... What? I think he slipped. I think he missed a trick here. He just queued up 26 knights. It might not be a firm good night for Voldemar. What a play! What a turnaround there! Anatan, it looked like he skipped production. There's no way he was consistently producing at all times here. Otherwise, you would have seen a pump out of Streltsy Knights non-stop. And now Voldemar, by some miracle, able to stay alive here. The decap will complete. And confidence has to be surging here. 70 military versus 28. The Springal's now moving in to counter out the bombards because Anatan, he threw away those Springals protecting the decap. No way he can stop the keep either. Are you kidding me? Is the kid about to do it? He was so ready for it to be over. Every Chinese game ever, but they never let it be that simple, do they? Spearman now moving in. Poleaxe Knights will be able to defend themselves, so this wave will not work for Voldemar. The crossbows may be in trouble, but at least he's kept himself alive. He's kept the lights on. If Anatan wants a Sacred Site victory, it's going to take 10 more minutes. That is a bloody long time against China. Remember, Anatan has a limited gold. He's done a good job of being efficient with all these surplus gold he gets from Sacred Sites and relics, but he will eventually run out. At which point, China can at least somewhat pad themselves against you because they do have the taxation. This game is wild. I can't bloody believe it's not over. I mean, Anatan either A goes for the kill or B goes for trade. Like, there's no other option now. I think Sacred Sites is too long. He will be out of gold by then. So you might as well be prepping trade. Voldemar is going to get shoved back because he also has exhausted himself, folks. That was every ounce of gold he had at his disposal. Kind of tough as well, right? Like, imagine if he had Incendiary Arrows, how much easier that maybe could have been. But the gold starvation is real. Keeper's going to be flopped, dropped here. Voldemar pretty much just mass spearing at this stage. Streltsy should be able to win this fight, which means the crossbow count likely to go down to 0. And if Voldemar is in a game where he's simply building spears against Streltsy, the end result is not going to be pretty. It's going to be downright ugly is what it's going to be. Not even making his way onto the walls. Finally will start to shuffle back, but Anatan, I think he's coming out for it again. He says, okay, 10 more minutes. It's okay. We're just hitting that average Chinese game length of 40. Streltsy now fighting low ground to high. I mean, this is at least a better trade for crossbows, right? However, I don't think it's good enough to get you a win in the fight. Streltsy now the stat deployment. Able to keep on punishing. Wall has been opened up, and Anatan says, if I can't get a Sacred Site victory, how about a Landmark? Unbelievable, dude. It looked like this game had maybe been thrown away by Anatan when he skipped the production, but credit to him, man. He forced Voldemort to commit everything into that push, and you see the aftermath. It's like giving your economy an 80% tax rate so you can fight the war for one more year. What's the aftermath? What's the outcome? This is the outcome. Voldemort, barely anything left standing. Anatan, incredibly healthy with almost 100 military here. Reaching into the base. And I imagine soon we're seeing a wave of the white flag. Because Voldemort, although this was played well, is simply not going to be enough against the ranked number 2 in Season 8. Dude, that was crazy. That was actually a crazy game. I'm wondering, like, what would I call that one as well? Oopsie. We were checking Anna's data, Voldemort's data before. Is that uploadable? I don't know if that one's uploadable. Mixed feeling. Who else we got playing? Let's check the Observe tab and see who we can catch. I am curious. Dude, I'm hyped to see how many people just return to the game tomorrow. I'm wondering if I don't do an early stream and instead do like a late stream. Because, like, what's the point in casting games if there's going to be a patch dropped, right? I don't feel like anyone's going to care about the Season 8 games. I'm wondering, like, how many people just didn't bother, like, tuning in because today Season 8 games, right? It does make it a bit tricky. I don't know, like, that's actually got me wondering if I should just have it be a short stream today. It's like, I feel bad about the idea, though. I kind of want to do a long stream because of, like, the question mark over what we're going to be doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think we'll just try to experiment with later in the day streams on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 15 and 20-minute games is a good game length for YouTube. Interesting. Yeah, kind of a tricky one there. I need an editor for that. Maybe to trim them down. He no longer likes us? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't say that. I just said, I don't know if you guys would really care about these games compared to tomorrow's. Especially YouTube. I can just see the comments already. Is this Season 9? Don't know why you guys sound like that. YouTube comments are scary plays. I think maybe I get away with the team games, even though they are like going to be on the previous patch, right? Because it's different enough. God, what to do? What to do? I think I'm going to take to like I might just call it now, so I can catch up on some things behind the scenes, and then I'll figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. Check in at midday in case we're live. If not, I'll look to get live in prep for the patch going live, right? That might make more sense. So, should we maybe raid a small streamer, make their day for a change? Maybe. Lord Doubt? Oh my god, let me raid Doubt. Is there anyone new? Not sure. I don't think so. I mean, we could just be a normie and raid Anatan. We do that a lot. I do like giving it to my boy. Oh wait, Deniskia's on. Hey, let's give a raid through to Deniskia. We've enjoyed some Deniskia games recently. I don't know if he speaks English at all though. I think he speaks some. All right, guys, I'm going to end the Twitter and the YouTube stream. So, guys, there'll be a stream up at some time tomorrow. 17 GMT is when the patch goes live, so we'll probably look to maybe be live for that, and then we can catch a bunch of new ones. So, farewell to those.